The Untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing games are missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, we're live once again. The drought is over. It's been about a week, so I hope everybody's been good in the week span that I haven't seen you. I hope your life is going good. I hope your week is going good. And we have a really fun show tonight, guys. A really fun show. Gonna have a lot of fun talking. Cause let's be honest, guys. Right now in boxing, it's a very slow time. So the little bit of news we do have in boxing, it's being magnified. Whether it's Boots versus Lima, which is the topic of this live, or the Japanese fighters passing away. Everything in boxing is being magnified because it's such a slow month. So, yeah, I'm gonna be here for about 2 hours, just talking about the new rivalry in boxing, guys. The new rivalry in boxing. USA Mexico played out. USA Japan played out. Mexico versus Japan played out. USA versus England played out. We don't care about that no more. The new rivalry in boxing is Philly versus Angola. Yes, that's what we want to see. So and that's what we're getting. October the 11th, Jaron Ennis versus Usima Lima. There's a lot to unpack. There's a lot of things that I want to address, for both fighters, not just Boots, but even for Usima Lima. And, after we get through all that, we can definitely talk about whatever the hell it is you guys want to talk about. But we're here. It's your boy BT, True School After Dark. We're live here on True School Sports. Hope everybody's doing good. Let me take some time to acknowledge the fine folks that are here and making their thoughts and their presence known. We got my main man, Mar the Prince. He says, salute BT, shout out to Mar the Prince. Felipe, good to see Felipe in the chat, my boy. We got my boy Hockey out there in Malaysia. Malaysia, stand up. Jeffrey the Pig, sub BT, was good, Jeffrey, good to see you. Dave Esther, he says, why is Jaron Ennis the only one getting criticism? All these dudes at 154 are fighting no-hopers and struggling with them. To boot, at least Boots demolishes the Kanzi fights. Are you sure about that? I don't know, man. See, when you say things like that, I gotta go ahead and bring up Karen. I don't know. Did you watch both Karen fights? I mean, he may have won them, but I don't think he demolished Karen. That's why Karen became a name, because Boots didn't demolish him. So I would disagree with that part of your statement. But again, this goes back to something I've been talking about a lot in boxing. A lot of people like to not David. You're normally pretty rational, but there's always a lot of what about isn't in boxing. What about this guy? What about that guy? Okay, well, guess what? Not every fighter gets judged to the same standard. And I know a lot of Boots fans get upset because they feel like there's double standards. Well, yeah, you're damn right there's double standards. You want to know why? Because like Spider-Man once said, with great power comes great responsibility. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. If you are looked at to be a top tier, top shelf, upper echelon, creme de la creme fighter, you're going to be judged as such, right? So that being said, you look at Bakram. Bakram just got on the scene. He didn't fight on TV for 5 years. People had their questions about him. People still have their questions about Fundora because we've seen Brian Mendoza flatline Fundora. So there's always that image in the back of your head. There's questions about him. Virgil Ortiz, really good fighter, but he had a questionable fight against Boachuk that a lot of people thought he lost. And let's be honest, Virgil Ortiz has competed as a 140 pounder. He's competed as a 147 pounder, and he's competed as a 154 pounder. And guess what? He has yet to fight for and win a world title. So these guys don't have the same expectations in terms of what they accomplished in their career as a guy like Jaron Ennis. A guy like Jaron Ennis. So let's be honest. Once Crawford left the division and beat up Spence, Boots was supposed to be the heir apparent to the throne, and so when you watch him fight, he to quote my boy Coach Malachi Williams, he is in fact the eye test champion. I mean, you watch him fight, you go back and you watch some of those early fights on Showbox against Armando Alvarez, where he's showboating and he fights with such a free spirit in the ring, and he blends that free spirit with punching power, speed, athletic ability, and it's not hard to see why everybody is high on Boots Ennis. So of course he should be judged differently because he's looked at to be a higher level talent. So that being said, that's why he's getting judged that way. So if you don't think Jaron Ennis is like one of them top guys, then you won't be criticizing him. You'll treat him like every other fighter. But you know what? A lot of us don't think that Jaron Ennis is just every other fighter. But because of how he's being moved and because of how he's being promoted, a lot of us who once believed that he was a different caliber of fighter compared to the rest of boxing are now starting to question what we even believe. So that's why we are where we are. But nonetheless, let me go ahead and acknowledge a couple more comments because I see a lot of people here. TSM Harder says top 5 fights you want to have at BT. I'm not going to answer that right now because I want to stay on topic, but ask me that later in the live and I'll answer. BT, good evening. Good to see you in history. Good to see you, champ. Stephanie Annette says, first time catching you live. Philly versus Angola is wicked work. Boots is ducking all the smoke. He shows a pony till he shows us different. I gotta agree, man. I like Boots, man. Listen, everybody has been coming at me sideways because you know I get really vocal. When I really believe in a fighter and they prove to me that they aren't what I thought they were, I get really, really vocal, right? So a lot of people are perceiving how I've been acting recently as hate. And you know what? Let's pivot into my first talking point because a lot of people are wondering, you know, why am I all of a sudden a Jaron Ennis hater? Now, let me clarify. I am not a Jaron Ennis hater by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, I quite like Boots. I like Jaron Ennis so much that I was one of the very few people. I was part of that minuscule crowd that was there to watch him fight Thomas Delorme in Vegas. Yes, I was there in the crowd. I went and I saw him fight live in Vegas against Thomas Delorme. I was there, but you know who wasn't there? A whole lot of people from Philadelphia wasn't there. You know, and I was there specifically to see Jaron Ennis. He wasn't in the main event, and this is like 2021. And I was there specifically to see him. So I've been a Boots fan. I'm such a Boots fan that I went to North Philadelphia and I've been to the gym and I've seen Boots spar. You know, I'm such a Boots fan that I went to war with Crawford fans, and I'm a Crawford fan, but I'm talking about Crawford fanboys. You know, I really pressed for him to fight Crawford, but like he's the one who showed he didn't want to fight Crawford, and you know that was hard pill to swallow back then. So it's like I've been a Boots fan, and I love Jaron Ennis so much as a fighter. You know what I do, guys? I love him so much that I tell the truth about him. I tell the truth. You know, I was telling you guys, like, look, in the first Karen fight, I told you guys, hey, he wasn't. I saw some things in there that didn't look so good, and I had the whole of Philadelphia telling me, "Oh well, no, you're a hater. Boots won 12-0." So I said, "Okay, right." So then, Karen wins a couple fights, Boots wins a couple fights. They do the rematch, and Boots looks even worse in the rematch. So maybe y'all should listen to your boy BT because I don't come from a place of hate. You know, I'm 30 years old now. I don't give like I don't hate nobody. Like I don't have enough hatred in my heart to hate any fighter at this point in my life. Maybe when I was 25 or when I was younger, but like, nah, man, it's just boxing. Like Jaron Ennis, I think at his best, he's an amazing talent. You know, I think he does struggle with movers a little bit, but he's got a great blend of speed, punching power, versatility, creativity, and I think he strikes me as a very disciplined person. He strikes me as somebody that really loves the sport of boxing. He strikes me as someone that lives in the gym. He strikes me as somebody that 100% gives all of himself to the sport. So someone that gives all of himself to the sport should fight other fighters who are at that top elite class level. And you may say, well, because I know, before I look at my comments, I already know what the counterpoints are. I already know the counterpoints are, you know, BT, True School. Why? Who was he supposed to fight? Lima was the only guy that would take the fight. And I'm like, look, guys, I know you don't want to hear it. I know you don't want to hear it. And I know you're going to say this guy turned the initial offer down back last November or October or whatever it was. But this all could have been avoided if he would have just stayed at 147 to do one more fight and fight Brian Oman Jr. He had all the leverage. He was the guy. He had 2 belts plus 3 magazine. That's the fight he should have went ahead and did. He brought himself out of a position of leverage to come to 154 and now be just another guy because he doesn't have a title. And until he wins a title, he is just another guy at 154. So I don't hate Boots. I'm just tired of it because I've been through this movie before. And I'm gonna repeat myself. I was a big Demetrius Andrade fan when he was fighting. And you know, I was a lot of the Boots fans remind me of myself like 4 or 5 years ago when I used to come on here and like really, you know, bang the drum for Demetrius Andrade and I felt like he was being done wrong and guys didn't want to fight him, and to some extent that was true, but Andrade's team didn't give him the best chance to get certain fights, and they couldn't seem to get out of their own way when it counted the most, and it happened over and over and over and over again until he was forced to take a fight against Dave Benavidez at 168, which he was not going to win because Benavidez was too big, too young, too strong, too good. And he lost that fight, and that was all she wrote. Andrade's career came crashing down very, very loudly. So I understand boxing. I understand the mechanics of the boxing business. I understand, like, I really understand the value of making the wrong move in the sport. I really, really do. Because you know what? I'm gonna tell you guys this today, right? Just today, I'm not gonna say no names. I'm not gonna say where they're from. I won't even say the weight class, right? But there's a fighter that I'm working with, right? I'm helping, you could say, advise or guide his career. And this guy is ranked in the top 15 of all 4 sanctioning bodies in this particular weight class. And I got sent the contract today from a particular promoter, right? And I was reading through the contract, and it was a bad contract. They literally put in plain English, you know, if you know what you're reading, they put in plain English, we want to exploit and fuck over this fighter. Pretty much that's what it said to me. That's how I interpreted it, because that's really what it was. It's a really bad contract to screw this fighter over. And like, if that fighter signs that contract, it puts that fighter behind the 8 ball, not just for now, but for years down the line. So I say that to say this. I say that, you know, Jaron Ennis, by him going this route, he's wasting very precious time in his career. You know, Jaron Ennis is 28 years old. He spent a lifetime in boxing, honing his craft in the gym and cultivating this unique style that we all fell in love with, which is why I'm here talking about him on a live. And you know, all respect to Usima Lima for stepping up to the plate and taking the fight. I don't got no problem with fighters who step to the plate and take a fight. But let's be real. If you've watched film on Usima Lima, he's not, you know, one of them top guys. So look, I feel like this all could have been avoided if Jaron Ennis would have just fought Brian Norman Jr. at 147, but that is neither here nor there. I'm just using this talking point to let y'all know that I'm not no hater. I don't hate none of these fighters. So life's too short, and there's too many great things in my life to hate on anybody. You know. So let me see. Make sure y'all like the video for the OGBT. Shout out to my main man, Breaking Bad Boxing in the building. Make sure y'all go run it up for Breaking Bad Boxing. New to me. I don't know how long he's been with his channel, but I think he's definitely you know, new. He's new to me, so go subscribe to him. BT, have you watched a Lima fight? And if you have, do you see Lima giving Boots any trouble with his style? You know, let's talk about it, because and I guess I'll use that to pivot into the talking point I was going to save for the latter part of this live, which was why this could be a tough fight for Jaron Ennis. Now, one thing I do know about boxing is that when a fighter wins a title or he is of high standing in the sport, I know that a fighter can have a letdown, right? And so if a fighter has a letdown, a fighter who's of a lesser caliber can have the best night of his career. And if that fighter has enough of a letdown, that fighter can beat him, right? So could this be a tough fight for Boots? Let's talk about it, right? So let's put Usima Lima all up on that Summer Jam screen. You know, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe. True School After Dark, the untouchable True School Sports, the home of boxing on YouTube. Listen, so Usima Lima coming to you guys live and direct from the mean streets of Angola. Angola, stand the fuck up. We are here. Angola, where are you guys? Angola is here in the building. But look, what I'll say about this about Lima, right? Now, I'm not going to sit here and cap for you guys and pretend like I know who the hell Sukhdeep Singh Bhatti is. I'm not going to do that to you guys. I'm not gonna act like I know any of his opponents outside of Aaron McKenna, who's a decent fighter, right? But what I can say about Lima is these guys have good records. If you look at the fighters' records, I mean, this guy was 15-0. Sukhdeep Singh Bhatti was 19-0. This guy was 18-0. This guy's 14-1. Aaron McKenna was 16-0. So he's fighting guys with good records. Usima Lima's from Angola. He went to Germany, beat an undefeated guy. Went to Canada, beat an undefeated guy. Went to South Africa, beat an undefeated guy. Now he's going to America to try to beat his 4th straight undefeated guy. So look, he's stepping up to the plate. They're presenting him fights. He's beating these guys. To answer your question about like which fight have I seen, the only fight that I watched was this fight right here against Sukhdeep Singh Bhatti. I actually watched that fight before I came on live here. And Lima, what I can say about Usima Lima is a rugged physical southpaw. You know, I think he's going to come to fight. I don't think he's going to lay down. But what I will say is this. There's a reason they picked him. he holds his feet right there. He doesn't really do a whole lot of moving. He's someone that is going to be there for Boots to showcase his skills and look good in front of the Philadelphia crowd for. Usima Lima has a significant disadvantage in the hand speed department. And yeah, that's what it is. So, a guy that has a disadvantage in hand speed, doesn't have great footwork, doesn't really move at all, and loads up on every shot, it's going to be a chance for Boots to showcase his skills and deliver a highlight reel and keep the gravy train rolling, keep building him as this superstar of not just Philadelphia boxing, but Philadelphia sports and American boxing in general. So I wish him the best. Like, I don't want to make any disparaging marks about Lima because he's a fighter on his own journey. He's coming from a place that doesn't have a lot of boxing infrastructure, which is Angola. And Angola, look, the good thing about Lima is that people have such little expectations for him that any little success that he has in this fight is going to be magnified times 100. So if he goes out here and he let's just say he clips Jaron Ennis one time and buzzes him or makes him do the stanky leg or has any moment, that's going to be enough to get him future paydays. And so there really is no losing here for Lima. He's playing with house money. It's really Jaron Ennis who's got everything to lose and really and truthfully, other than keeping his career where it's at, nothing to gain. So that's really how I'm seeing it. And the reason why that fight could be tough is because basically, fighters have letdowns. He's going to go ahead and people are going to ask him about fighting. People are going to ask him about fighting, Fedora and Bachram and Virgil and all the champions. And that's what it's going to be. So, it's very important that he stay focused because this guy, Lima, whatever he has to give with his spirit, I would expect the best Usima Lima there is. So that's really the only reason why I think it could be a tough fight. It's not really because of Lima or anything he brings to the table. It's just the circumstances around it. It makes for a trap fight. So that's what I will say. We got a super chat. Oh my God. Shout out to my main man, 50 grand. This live has been brought to you in part by my main man, Felipe. Shout out to Felipe. He says, yo, with the $100 super chat, he says, yo, great to see you live. Whole pops as well. And it's great to be seen live, man. It's been a week too long. I wasn't trying to make it a week, but it happened. I got like 13 prospect review videos done. So those will be dropping later on in the month. From like the 22nd to 21st all the way to like September 2nd or 3rd. So a lot of content coming out. We're working hard here on True School Sports, and just we're in a great place, man. September 5th is going to mark the completion of my 10th year in boxing, my first full year in the sport of boxing, and it's a lovely and beautiful thing to do that. So thank you, Felipe, and you've been here for half that journey. I've known you for like what? 5 years now. So yeah, thank you for the support and being a great friend all the time to me. Thank you. But anyway, they want to know here we go. What is my nationality? American. No, I'm joking. I am American. I have the flag there. I was born in America. But no, my dad, Puerto Rican, mom, Dominican, Cuban. But really and truthfully, I don't care. I'm an American if you ask me. Let me see. My man said, bro is fighting Indians. Yes. Talker's Boxing says, to play devil's advocate, Lima took the McKenna fight on 3 days' notice at middleweight. I was ringside for that fight, and it was more competitive than the scorecard suggests. Well, there you go. Hey, shout out to everybody. Go on Twitter and go follow my man Talkers. He does a great job reporting on everything boxing, big-time boxing, mid-level boxing, small-time boxing. If you follow his Twitter account, you'll stay informed. But that's a great point. Lima has shown that he is a fighter willing to step up to the plate. Aaron McKenna is a good fighter. I know he's trained out on the West Coast with the Garcias and Ken Box. So yeah, I think it might be a better fight than we're giving it credit for. I think the problem with it is that people are frustrated because so much is expected of Boots. They think many of us, I won't say all of us, but many of us believe him to be a great talent, right? And so because we have such high expectations for him, we want to see him against guys that we feel could challenge. But you know what? You never know. Sometimes these fights could be the fights that challenge you. So I don't want to fully write Lima off, but I kind of think it is what it is on paper, Let me see. My man, Rebel Rico in the building. Salute to you, champ. Troy Nash. Shout out to my guy right. BT Troy Nash got destroyed. Isn't he your boy? Nah, I never met Troy Nash. I don't know Troy Nash. I never met Troy Nash, but he's a good young talent. I saw he lost. It's part of the game, but no, I wouldn't. Listen, I only got a handful of friends in this fight game, and Troy Nash, you know, he's a good fighter, but he's not one of them. You know, so shout out to him. Boots been fighting since he's a baby. He grew up in the boxing gym. Plus, he's 30 fights into his late 20s. What the fuck does he need tune-ups for? Well, the argument we're getting, right? And let me see. Yeah, the argument that we're getting is that Jaron Ennis needs to tune up to acclimate himself to the 154-pound limit. Now, what I will say is this: Jaron Ennis is massive. He's a big fighter. He's got a good frame on him. I really believe in his skill set so much. I think Jaron Ennis is talented enough to where he could have did what Devin Haney's doing against Brian Norman Jr. He could have went into a fight with one of the champions. I really don't think that Eddie Hearn and Matchroom were willing to do what it takes to get these fights over the line for Boots. That's what I believe. And I also feel like Boots has gotten accustomed to getting paid a lot of money to fight really nobody, which is why he re-signed Matchroom in the first place. So I think there is, in my opinion, there's a bit of complacency setting in with Jaron Ennis as a fighter, and that's not a good thing. That's what I believe, but we'll see. Only time will tell. Now, I wanted to talk about this, guys, because, you know, we gotta really properly talk about the new rivalry in boxing. Like I told you guys, USA Mexico, we don't care about that. USA UK, we don't care about that. Japan versus Philippines, that's played out. The new rivalry in boxing is Philly versus Angola. So look, we're gonna do it properly, guys. We're gonna learn some fun facts about the country of Angola. Because I'll be honest with you guys, I don't know shit about Angola. You know, I know a lot of you guys don't really know a whole lot about Angola either. So look, I went on Google and I typed in like what are the Angolan foods, right? So we're gonna learn about some Angolan foods here and get familiar with this culture, right? Because we know about Philadelphia. We know right here. We know Philadelphia got cheesesteaks. We know about like the tourist spots, Pat's, Geno's. But you know what I was told when I was in Philadelphia one time when I was there, they said, BT, don't go to Pat's. Don't go to Geno's. Go to the corner store. You be in the hood of North Philadelphia. Go to the corner store. Go to one of those mom and pop shops and get one there. And I got a cheesesteak at this corner store in the ghetto of North Philadelphia, right around the corner from Jaron Ennis' gym, and it was fire. So it was right. But we're not here to talk about Philly right now. We're here to talk about Angola. Philly cheesesteak versus Mamba de Galina. All right. So look, this is what Usima Lima is eating to prepare for Jaron Ennis. Shit like this right here. So look, this is a Central African dish made with chicken, red palm oil sauce, okay, garlic, okra. You know, that shit don't sound half bad. You know, that actually sounds all right. Might need to try this. You know, get out on some Angolan food. Cabidela. What is cabidela? They got rice. Let me see. The Portuguese dish consisting of rice and poultry or game meat cooked together with animal blood. Rice can be cooked alongside meat or served on the side with red wine. Okay. Angola might be underrated, guys. Are we underrating the Angolan food? Are we underrating the Angolan fighter in Usima Lima? We don't know. What's this one right here? We got funge, known as funge or fungi in Angola and Ghana, and mufundi in the Democratic Republic of Congo. It is an essential side dish accompanying breakfast and lunch, dinner meals in many households of rural families throughout these countries. So look, man, you talk about Angola, you're talking about pristine dishes here, pristine foods. This is what Usima Lima has ate over the years to prepare for this moment. Okay, then I had to go look because I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I mean, I knew Angola was kind of close to Portugal, supposedly, and you know, I decided to look up some pictures of Angola because I'm not even sure what Angola looked like, and I gotta say, Angola looks like a beautiful country. So a beautiful country, good food, a determined fighter. I don't know, guys. This might really be one of them fights. And then upon further research, I found out that apparently the 2011 Miss Universe was this lady right here, Lalia Lopez. All right, Miss Universe 2011 was from Angola. So listen, y'all better stop playing with Angola. Angola is not here to play with you. Philly versus Angola, the new rivalry in boxing. Look, Angola, you know, they're not really known for their sports, but they did make the World Cup one time in 2006. They lost. And that's what it was. So that's pretty much what I know about Angola. But look, all jokes aside, because I am making a big joke of all this, because, you know, you don't really hear about fighters from Angola. This is a chance for Usima Lima to kick down the door for his country. And who knows? There might be some fighter in Angola we never heard of right now that's probably a beast. and he may get an opportunity in the future in America or the UK or somewhere because of Osima Lima stepping up to the plate to fight Jaron Ennis. So the new rivalry in boxing. Everything else sucks. Don't talk to me about none of these other rivalries. Don't talk to me about no Norman versus Devin Haney. Don't talk to me about Carver versus Canelo. Philly versus Angola. That's what we want to see. So yeah, of course I'm being sarcastic, guys, but you know, shout out to everybody here. Let me see who else we got. We got Lord Zed in the building. He says, hey BT, hope you're well. I'm looking forward to seeing Mal Naji in a bare knuckle fight. Oh my God. Oh my God. Shout out to Paulie. Listen, when you're a fighter, it's hard to stop. Philly versus Angola. That's right. That's right. Fixed Electronics says, fun fact, Philly does have a small Angolan population. Oh, there you go. That's why they made the fight, because the Angolan population, whatever population they got in Philadelphia, the whole of Angola and Philly is going to come and support Usima Lima. So there you go. Sold out crowd. Angola has oil and diamonds. So there you go. I'm tired of Boots fighting foreign exchange students. Man. He says, BT, where's my video? I told you to have it ready to go. What video? You know what I'm saying? Andre is Cape Verde. Another, yeah, I know he's from Cape Verde. Shout out to Andre. You know, they've never produced any world champions. They haven't. But listen, boxing's at a stage now where it's as global as it's ever been. You know, you got guys from Angola now competing at the top level. You look at Nishat Dev. Nishat Dev is a Indian fighter, and he was an Olympian, and he's getting American coaching now. So, you know, he might become the first Indian world champion. So boxing may not be where it should be in the States, but it's in a healthy place, you know, globally. So it's beautiful. Boots wasn't lying when he said anybody can get it on 54. That is true. Anybody can get it. Let me see. Who else we got here? Until Boots fights an opponent that's genuinely dangerous, I'm not impressed. That's where I'm at, Julius, because my grab of Boots, if I'm gonna go off the resume, right? You're talking about 30+ fights now, and really and truthfully, Jaron Ennis hasn't fought a real like puncher. Stanionis is a puncher, but he's got more of that like thudding, grind you down power. You know, he doesn't have like that one punch eraser type power like a Brian Norman Jr. has. That's part of the reason why the Brian Norman Jr. fight was so enticing. So that's why I'm like, you know, I'm kind of cool on Boots until he fights someone that can really, really punch. But you know, Angola can punch. You know, Usima Lima can punch. So you know, if my thing though is he's really slow compared to Boots. Will he be able to time him in the exchanges and really, you know, make his presence felt? That's my question when it comes to Lima, but we shall see. Tellez versus, oh yeah, I saw that comment today. I gotta go watch the other guy because I haven't even watched the other guy fight, and I gotta watch more Jaron Tellez, but I'll do a video on it. It's a slow month in boxing, so I got time. I would have been going live more often, and I would have had more videos posted already, but I had a bunch of like prospect videos and contender videos. I wanted to do like 13 of them, so I just finished those. So I will go ahead and put it in my notes to go ahead and you know, watch both those guys so I can do my video on Tellez versus him, because that's an important fight. Because the winner of that fight, for those that don't know, the winner of that fight is going to fight Jaron Ennis. Because everyone's under the impression, and I guess I'll go to my next talking point here. Like everyone's under the impression that, you know, he's going to fight Virgil Ortiz because Eddie Hearn said he's going to fight Virgil Ortiz. Now, look, this isn't just about Eddie Hearn, but promoters lie. They lie through their teeth. They talk that bullshit. They negotiate fights to the media, and he does it about as much as everybody. And I like Eddie Hearn. I like what he's done for boxing. I like the personality and the energy and the swag he brings to the game. I love Eddie Hearn, but, you know, he at many times he operates like a used car salesman. And Rick Morrigan, who's Virgil's manager, already came and dismissed all that, right? And on top of that, I've been saying this for a little bit of time now, guys. Like, I've been telling y'all he's gonna fight Jaron Tellez because, first of all, it's the easiest fight for him to win. You know, Tellez is a good fighter, but you know he doesn't present the same danger as Virgil. Although he can move a little bit, but he's not as experienced as Virgil, so it's an easier fight. And he was ranked there higher. And on top of that, to cap things off, just so you guys know I'm not lying, because a lot of people like to think that I'm so smart that I can just like pull things out of thin air off the top of my head. Look, this is on the official WBA boxing website. So this fight between Ennis and Usima Lima, the master plan, checkers not chess. This fight is in fact a WBA world title eliminator, as it says right there in plain English. So they're going to fight, and the winner of this fight will become the mandatory challenger for that belt, which, by the way, right now Terrence Crawford is in possession of that belt, but that's going to change come September 16th when he fights Canelo Alvarez at 168. Eventually and inevitably, Tellez, who's currently the interim champion, will be elevated to full champion, and he will fight Abbas Barrow, #1 contender, for the belt. And then whoever wins that fight will fight Jaron Ennis if Ennis gets past Usima Lima. So, yes, I want everybody right now, and I'm not trying to be like the negative guy. I'm not trying to crush your dreams. All I'm doing is being honest. You know, you guys ask for honesty in the boxing world. You ask for transparency in the boxing world. You ask people to tell y'all the real and give you guys the truth. Well, here it is. He's not fighting Virgil Ortiz next. Please accept this, because this fight that we're sitting here talking about, that you're complaining about, that I'm complaining about, that the majority of boxing fans are complaining about, it is a WBA eliminator fight. So if he's going to fight in a WBA eliminator fight, common sense would tell you he's going to fight for the WBA title next, right? And Virgil Ortiz, I don't know what he's doing. You know, he at some point he's gonna have to get off of this Jaime Munguia shit and fight for a title himself. But I think at some point Virgil Ortiz does fight for a title, and he will win a world title. And I think when Boots fights Virgil, it'll be for a unification fight, right? Because that's the way it should be for a fight of that magnitude. It's a big fight. So please, guys, not for my sake. I don't give a damn. I'm telling y'all for y'all's sake, so y'all don't get frustrated, so y'all don't get blindsided, so y'all just get it out of your head. He's gonna fight Yoenis Tellez, or the other guy, Abbas Barrow, whatever the hell guy's name is. He'll fight him, you know. So, and I'm not even saying that's a bad fight. Like, that's a good fight. Like, it's a good fight. Tellez is not a bad fighter. Shout out to my main man, Sebastian the Technician Santana. I've been knowing Sebastian Santana since before he had an amateur fight. So that we're talking years ago. Now my boy Sebastian Santana is in the pro. So y'all can go box rec him. Sebastian Santana, I believe he's 2-0 now. In the pros now, doing his thing, soft floor stand up. You know, definitely supporting Sebastian Santana through thick and thin all the way. But he says, who do you think should be Xander's next fight now that he's a champion? That's a great question. Now, in a perfect world, I would say Sebastian Fundora. They were supposed to fight before Xander had a belt. Now the fight's bigger because Xander does have a belt. But I read a report from Lance Puigmeyer before this live started that Fundora's going to go fight Keith Thurman October 18th, which I'm going to do a live on that tomorrow. But, you know, if that is true, which I believe it is because Lance Puigmeyer is a pretty credible source in boxing, then, you know, I think he's going to fight Josh Kelly. I've thought that Xander was going to fight Josh Kelly because, you know, they want to do his first fight in Puerto Rico, right? He just became the youngest world champion in boxing. He's one of the fighters I think Top Rank is trying to build their stable around, right? So because they're building their stable around Xander, they're going to treat Xander like a precious diamond, you know, youngest champion in boxing, a Puerto Rican young superstar in the making, you know? So they're not going to throw him into anything crazy for his first defense. I think Josh Kelly will be a fight. You know, he's ranked, I think, #1 in the WBO. And yeah, I think Josh Kelly. But if it was up to me, I would say Xander versus Fundora. I like that fight a lot. Let me see what else we got here. Virgil is waiting for a vacant. That's the Golden Boy MO. Maybe he is. Quite possibly. You know, I'm getting tired of him too. You know, I like Virgil, and I've spoken very highly of him over the years. But I'm getting tired of him too. I know he's had health problems, so there was a point of his career that things were lost. But at some point, he got to step up to the plate and he got to go fight, you know, for the world title. Show that he really is one of them top guys. Because this ain't it, champ. This ain't it. Josh Kelly will be a solid title. Yeah, because I mean, Kelly's not. he's not a world beater. He's not a world beater. He once was highly touted, but he's not a bum either. He's solid though. He's okay. You could do worse, but I think after that, I would like to see Xander fight someone a bit better than someone more of a threat. Because look, when you become a champion, you have to. There's no such thing as a prospect with the belt. When you become a champion, there is a green light and an X mark on your head from everybody in the division. They want what you have. They want to take your notoriety. They want to take your fanfare. They want to take your superstar. They want all that. They want your fans. I mean, I know this myself because I'm part of it. My boy Angelo Leo was the IBF champion, and I kid you not, when he beat Venado Lopez, we were sitting in New Mexico, eating green chili one day, and someone messaged me and was like, "Yo, BT, did you see who Jan Santana called out Angelo?" And I kid you not, I did not know who Jan Santana was. So that's how I found out who Jan Santana was. So when you get a belt, it's a price on your head. So you gotta start stepping up to the plate and fighting guys, and that's what it is, man. So hopefully Virgil Ortiz goes ahead and just steps up to the plate, and because at some point, look, man, we know you're good, and I like Virgil. I'm a big fan of Virgil as a fighter. I'm a big fan of Boots as a fighter. But at some point you gotta be what I think you are. Otherwise, you're gonna get it bad too. Like he's not too far off from getting alive, just like this. He'll get it too. The only thing that's saving Virgil is that he's fought some good fighters. He fought Boachuk. He did sign to fight Stanionis. He fought he just fought, what's his name? He fought Madrimov. Well, I'm not the biggest fan of Madrimov, but everyone was saying that Madrimov was this and that, and he beat him better than Crawford did. So, yeah, man. Let me see. Good question. I don't know. I have not the slightest idea of why that fight fell through. I gotta go ask my boy Tay Jones or ask Najee himself. I don't know. It's a great question, though. But now, look, the last thing I will say about Jaron Ennis, and I want to touch on this a little bit because, starting tomorrow, I'm gonna go live again tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're not talking about Jaron Ennis no more. This is the last Philly versus Angola thing we talk about, unless Jaron Ennis' team shows any incompetency that I have to talk about. But the last thing I'll say is this, and I dropped a video on this earlier today. I want to talk about it now. So this right here to me is a microcosm of Jaron Ennis' career because, he went ahead and I'll see. Let me type it real quickly and find it for you guys. But he went ahead. Actually, no, I won't find it. I'll just say this. Look, so he did an interview yesterday with YSM Sports Media. Shout out to Jamil, and he said pretty much like, look, I try to fight Boachuk. I try to fight these guys. I try to fight Ramos. He said Ramos, but they're all tied up, and I couldn't fight them. And Lima was the only one who decided to step to the plate and fight me. Right? That's what he said. Now, what Boots didn't tell us is that he didn't specify which Ramos it was because Jesus Ramos went on Twitter yesterday and he informed the whole world that, look, I didn't get an offer to fight Boots. My uncle, Abel Ramos, the former world title challenger, he got an offer to fight Boots. Now, look, Abel Ramos, good little fighter. He fought Mario Barrios on the Mike Tyson undercard. A lot of people watched the Mike Tyson card. Maybe Boots, maybe Ed Hearn watched the Mike Tyson card. And really and truthfully, like, he fought very, very well in that fight. It's very possible that Abel Ramos should have won that fight and he should be the WBC champion. So you could look at Abel Ramos as the uncrowned WBC welterweight champion because I thought he beat Barrios, and I know I'm not alone on that. But he is not Jesus. Jesus is a better fighter than Abel. Jesus is actually 54-pounder. And look, man, I listen, man. All Mexican Americans don't look the same. All Mexicans don't look the same. That's Jesus. That's Abel. Abel, Jesus, Abel. Just because the last name is Ramos doesn't mean that all Mexicans look the same. What's going on, Matchroom? Get your Ramoses in order. Get your shit together, man. How you gonna offer the wrong Ramos in a fight? What's going on here? And I feel like this is a microcosm, a bigger microcosm of Boots' career. Like they're not in sync, and I say I feel like I say this every time I go live. I say it every time I have a boxing conversation with somebody, whether it's my friends, whether it's another fighter. I feel like I'm always saying this, but a fighter is only as good as his team. So if the team is showing any incompetency, trust and believe me, it is going ahead. It is going to reflect somewhere down the line, especially when it comes to negotiating those bigger fights. So, I'll leave it at that. But anyway, that's all I gotta say on Boots. I'm not gonna make it like an hour long. I gave Boots 40 minutes, right? I've been talking enough about Boots, right? Matchroom is his promoter, not True School. So I'm gonna let them promote Philly versus Angola. And until then, unless y'all got questions, more questions about Philly versus Angola, I'm gonna take questions from you guys. Whatever y'all want to talk about, that's what I'm gonna talk about. So let me go ahead and get to the comments. So we got my boy right here, the Butcher. How do you try to fight people with low ball offers? That's what I'm saying. Like, okay, people are not idiots. They know Jaron Ennis is a good fighter and that it's not easy to beat him, right? But mind you, he doesn't even have a belt. Like, he doesn't have a belt now, so it's even like you get less of a reward for beating him because there's no belt involved. So you got to get creative. You got to get creative, and you got to make these fights happen. Shout out, hey, everybody, show your appreciation to one of the best middleweights in the world, number 7 ranked WBA contender, my boy Ian Green, one of the best out there. She's in the chat. Shout out to him. Make sure y'all be on the lookout, because in the future, you guys are gonna say, isn't that the guy that BT was talking about all the time on his lives? And I'm gonna say, yes, that was him. Shout out to my boy Ian Green. Yes, he's enjoying what I'm saying. Don't nobody know who either guy is? Which either guy? Jesus Ramos and Abel Ramos? Yeah, like, but the promoters are supposed to know. The team is supposed to know. They're not supposed to be getting all these Mexicans mixed up. Just because his last name is Ramos don't mean it's the same person. Offering the welterweight Ramos to fight at 54. I mean, it just looks bad. So, hopefully they improve, and hopefully things get in order. That's bullshit. Hearn is professional. He and Boots' team are definitely in sync. Miscommunicate. Ooh, let's go, champ. So you saying, look, BT, I'm not buying that bullshit. They definitely in sync. They're both on bullshit. You know what? I ain't even mad at you, champ. That might be what it is. Either way, look, we're not seeing Boots any significant fight, so make of that what you will. Just it is what it is. But let me say, I got some non-Boots related questions in the chat. So let me go ahead and acknowledge those. Shout out to everybody here. It's your boy BT, Brennan Taylor, the Untouchable, True School Sports Empire, True School After Dark, giving you guys that world-class boxing talk. We're still on the road to 100,000 subscribers. When I get to my 100,000, I'm gonna have me a big old celebration in Las Vegas at Circa. I've been promised one by none other than Miguel Leo, so I'm holding to it, and I can't wait when I hit 100,000 and I get the plaque. But yeah, we're enjoying ourselves. We're enjoying our time in boxing, covering the sport, and now kind of also transitioning into helping fighters and advising fighters too. So I'm really excited about just the future in boxing for me and True School Sports. So yeah, good to have you guys here. But my main man right here says, BT, what are your thoughts on Hayato Tsutsumi versus Kwasi Ashafak? Now, look, I haven't taken the time to even watch the guy Ashafak yet, but I know who Hayato Tsutsumi is, and I'm a big fan of him. There's a lot of buzz right now about his younger brother, Reito Tsutsumi. He's like the guy that a lot of people ask me my opinion about, and he's good. I like Reito. I think Reito is a very, very skillful boxer, but I like Hayato Tsutsumi more. I think Hayato Tsutsumi has more in his offensive arsenal, and he's very good at controlling distance. And so for that reason, I'm very excited about it. I think he can win a world title. And I think when you look at the world title picture at 130, you're talking about him fighting guys like maybe Raymond Ford, Zoltan Sauerbeck, Jazza Dickens. They're all interesting fights. So and he's one of the fighters from Japan above featherweight that I definitely think, I would say, if I had to bet on one fighter from Japan, like if my life was on the line and I had to bet on one fighter from Japan winning a world title above featherweight, this is the guy I'm betting on. Hayato Tsutsumi, really good fighter. So yeah. He said, I ain't trying to hear that shit. It's 2025. Everybody got Microsoft. That's true. Everyone got Microsoft. Everyone got an iPhone, damn near, or everyone got Google, right? What did Deontay Wilder say many years ago? Don't everybody believe in Google? Go Google that shit. Go Google that shit. So Yes, sir. Fix Electronics, the untouchable. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're here, live and in full effect. So you know what? What I'll say is this, man. The card this week is pretty good. I'm excited about this weekend's card. I really do think Sam Goodman has a great chance to upset Nick Ball. I'm putting Nick Ball on a high upset alert against Nick Ball because or I'm putting Nick Ball on a high upset alert against Sam Goodman. I think Sam Goodman can get it done against Nick Ball, even though he's coming up from 122 to 126, because unlike all the other 122 pounders that Ball's been fighting, this guy is a little fresher. This guy is younger. This guy can box. It's a dangerous fight for Nick Ball in terms of dealing with that style. Yeah, that's a good fight. Hergovich is in action, so it's not a bad card. It's not a bad card at all. We got Moise Tama finally fighting a name and Dillian White, so it's cool. I've seen worse cards. I'm excited about it. We all knew Boots was Cat trying to fight Tio Abuelito instead of the real 54-pound boogeyman, Jesus. Ooh, that's right. Listen, Jesus Ramos, quiet as kept. He don't really do too much talking. He's not really on socials that often. But one thing I can say about Jesus Ramos, man, he's super consistent. Like, his performances don't really drop too much. You know what you're getting with a Jesus Ramos performance in a fight. And a lot of guys don't want to fight him. I'm not gonna call him a boogeyman, but shit, these dudes ain't rushing to fight him. So shit, might be. Maybe Otar had to get the rounds in. I know he fought. He fought recently. Otar Renosian, I think he won by like disqualification or something like that. Because I was trying to figure out the results to his fight, and I heard he won by DQ. Let me check that shit right now. Otar Renosian. But yeah, make sure y'all smash that like button. It's your boy BT here talking that boxing. Let me see, Otar, the real Pitbull, my boy, one of my probably my favorite fighter at 130, to be honest with you. He won by DQ, so good for him, man. Good for him to I guess get his rounds in and shake the cobwebs off and get active, and hopefully he can get his ranking position back and go after these belts. If you had to bet, what round does Itamo win in? If you had to bet, who does Usyk fight next and what round does Itamo win? Damn. I think Itama's going to stop Dillian White in 4 rounds. I'm going to say he gets him out of there in 4 rounds. And if Usyk fought Itama, it's a great question. It's hard to say because Moses hasn't really been in any fight where he's went rounds. So we need to see Moses in some rounds, in a fight where he gets some rounds. I'm gonna still say Usyk beats him. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna pump him up like that just yet. He needs to be in a fight where somebody punches him in his mouth and we see what he can do. Then we'll know what he is. Nick Ball, but yeah, I'm not really like everyone keeps trying to talk crazy to me and say Angelo Leo is the weakest champion at featherweight, and I think that's just because they want to get him under my nerves. They want to try to get me out of character. They want me to crash out because people really enjoy when I crash out and start talking crazy, but. Honestly, yeah, I think Nick Ball is like the weakest champion at featherweight, and I think it's the matchmaking that they're doing is telling you that. I mean, who do I think Usyk will fight next? Well, look, Turkey gets what Turkey wants in this new day and age in boxing. So I think he's gonna fight Parker, or not Parker. I think he's gonna fight Itama. If Itama goes in there and beats the dog shit out of Dillian White, you're gonna see Usyk versus Itama next. And, on one hand, I'm like, I'll kind of like, it's kind of stupid because Itama's like 20 years old and he should, prove himself a little more. But, if he goes in there and does the unthinkable and beats Usyk, then gosh dang it, like most Itama really is that guy. So it does present a very intriguing scenario because I can't think of a time probably in the history of this channel being active where a guy at 20 years old fought a guy of Usyk's caliber. You guys tell me who's a fighter, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm tripping, but who is a fighter who's been 20 years old, 21 years old, who has fought someone at the caliber of Usyk, But Itama can't beat Usyk, no way. And then he said, interesting, and Fury said he was coming back to fight young guys. Well, he can do what he wants, man. Listen, Tyson Fury is a hell of a fighter. He can't beat Usyk, so he'll never be the man of the era. But he had his time, so why not? Hey, BT, have you heard of Olesius Iglesias? I think he is the dark horse 168. He's not talked about in the division as much as Pacheco or Shiraz or Billy. He should fight Berlanga. To answer your question, yes, I have heard of Olesius Iglesias. I watched him fight on TV a couple times. Kind of reminds me of David Morrell, an aggressive, hard-punching Cuban fighter. And you're right, he hasn't been talked about enough. I'm not even sure if I made a video about him. Maybe I made one, but it can't be no more than one or two. Very dangerous guy. You mentioned Berlanga as an opponent for him. Let me tell you right now, Team Berlanga is not going anywhere within 100 million feet of a guy like Iglesias. Iglesias doesn't have a name. He's dangerous as hell, and he might knock Berlanga out into next week. So, no, they're not going to go anywhere near that. Yeah, so exactly. We can't think of anybody in the last 20 years. So it presents a unique scenario. So for that reason, it's an exciting fight because you get if Itama does beat Usyk, then that's when we, the boxing fans, are going to realize, well, damn, we are truly in the presence of somebody really, really special. So I'm excited for that possibility. But that's really it. Like I still, if it was my way and I was the commissioner of boxing, we would get Usyk versus Joseph Parker. If Itama beats Usyk, everyone will be impressed, but Usyk is older than Joe Louis and Marchand and gets no love for knocking him. That's true. That is definitely true. You know, that fight does nothing for Usyk. You know, to be honest, there's no fight in the heavyweight division that does anything for Usyk. Like, even the fight I want to see with Joseph Parker. He's already proven himself. He is the man of the era. Y'all, a lot of us said before he moved to heavyweight, a lot of us said he can't beat Anthony Joshua. He can't beat Tyson Fury. What did he do? He beat Anthony Joshua twice. He beat Tyson Fury twice. You know, he fights Dubois. Dubois hits him with what I thought was a body shot. Some people say it's a low blow. Some people say it's a body shot. Some people say it should have been a knockout. He said, "Okay, I'll fight Dubois again. Beat the shit out of him. Worse than he ever beat anybody in his whole boxing career." And you know, so any doubts, anything that's ever been questioned about Usyk has been answered time and time again against the biggest, baddest, and best competition available. So yeah, in my opinion, he should retire right now. He's got nothing to prove. If he's still fighting, it's literally just because he loves boxing, and no other reason other than that he loves boxing. Do you think Parker could fare well with Usyk? I do. I think that fight's the reason why that fight is intriguing to me is because for a couple of reasons. Number one, Parker is the only other guy from this era that's won a heavyweight title that he hasn't fought. So to me, this is the finishing touches on this era, right? Number two, unlike Fury, who stands at about 6'9", Anthony Joshua is about 6'7". Parker is not like those big guys. Those are bigger, lumbering heavyweights. Parker is more of that shorter, compact heavyweight of yesteryear, of like the 90s. You know, 6'4", roughly. You're talking about roughly 225, 230 pounds. I think he's actually heavier now. He put on some weight with Andy Lee, but regardless, he's 6'4". So I think that while I do think Usyk will have a speed advantage, his speed advantage isn't going to be as pronounced as it's accustomed to being, right? So I want to see Usyk how he fights when he's not fighting someone where he has ridiculous speed advantage over. And I think for that reason, Parker has a chance. And Parker has experience, and Parker can fight, man. And I feel like people don't give him the credit he deserves. You know, that's how I feel. But you know, I think really that fight's a cherry on top. It's the cherry on top of the cake. It's not one of the main pieces of the cake, if you understand. Like, it'd be great if it happened, but I'm not gonna sit here and say, yo, Usyk's a punk and he's a ducker and because he didn't fight Joseph Parker. No, you went there and you beat the two guys that a lot of people thought you couldn't beat, and you beat them both twice. So there's no room for anything. What about Caballero? A lot of you guys ask me about Ajit Caballero. Caballero is a good fighter, good body puncher. I think he'd have a problem getting on. Like, the success that he has is normally on the body of Usyk or of opponents. I think because of Usyk's footwork, he's gonna have a hard time getting in on the inside, and he's gonna pay a price coming in on the inside against Usyk. So it could. I'm not writing Kabayel off. I just think stylistically, it's a layup for Usyk. My man Joel, what's good, champ? How them? Have you spoken to Colazo or Matias? What they saying? We want to get them on the channel. Ooh, that's exactly what it could be like. You know, it could be exactly like Canelo versus Yeah, I agree. But yeah, man, Philly versus Angola. You got Philly cheesesteaks versus what was it called? They have, if you go back earlier in the live, Kate, I was going through the Angolan foods. I was putting people onto the foods from Angola, but I can't remember them right now. Some of the food from Angola looks pretty good. I might gotta try some in the spirit of this fight. Maybe we should do that. What do you guys think? Should we cook some Angolan food in the build up to this fight? Do cooking with BT, cooking with Pops, cooking with True School Sports. We'll make some Angolan food, since that's what Boots wants to fight these days. You see, Inoue said he's going to focus on his defense a lot more, and where he want to see a different version of him. Well, good. That's what we need. Like, if you trying to fight, like listen, he's going to fight Junto Nakatani next year. If he gets this fight, he's fighting Junto next year, right? You can't be fighting Junto Nakatani the way you've been fighting these guys. You're going to get hurt. And you're going to get beat the fuck up. So I'm glad he understands that. If he has any ambition, I'm going to tell you this right now. And this is not me. This is not me like just throwing it out there. I'm warning you guys as part of Team Leo and as someone who knows the featherweight division. He better tighten his defense up and be a different version of himself if he has any ambitions of coming to featherweight. Because if he comes to featherweight, we're going to have something waiting for him. All right? We're going to have something waiting for him. If Inoue comes to featherweight and he has any ambition of fighting for the IBF title, we're going to have something vicious waiting for him, like super vicious. So I digress. God bless Inoue. Best luck to him. What do you think about Bakoli talking trash about sparring stories? I think that's what Bakoli's done his whole career. If you look at Lawrence, or not Lawrence, Martin Bakoli's career, he's made his publicity and name off of what he supposedly did in sparring. There's no proof. It's like Will Chamberlain's 100-point game in the NBA. We ain't never seen this shit, but we keep hearing about it. So think of that what you will. He's gonna do what he's got to do. Yeah. He says the best 126 pounder in the world said he's watching the Untouchable. Shout out to my main man, Angelo Leo, Team Leo, to the casket drops. Okay. And looking really forward to the future, with what's going to come of his career and proving a lot of you guys right and proving a lot of you guys wrong. But either way, we're just glad you guys care. And my man Fern said, what's up? Shout out to Fern, one of the really interesting prospects in boxing, my boy Fern. What are the top 5 fights that I want to see? Oh my God, that's a great question. Let me think about that one. So, number 1 will be Angelo Leo versus Naoya Inoue. That's a personal for personal reasons, of course, and I think it's a great fight. I'll say Kenneth Lovere versus Riku Masudo, the bantamweight, that's a great fight. People just don't know how great that fight is yet. Atif Overton in any notable fight. I don't care who. I like seeing Atif. I like watching Atif Overton fight a lot. Give me Jaron Ennis versus Brian Ullman Jr. Okay, and then we'll go with the Ken Shiro Ricardo Sandoval rematch, because I feel like they robbed Ken Shiro. I went back and I watched that, and I thought they did him dirty. But that's my opinion. But there's a lot of great fights. I mean, you guys put me on the spot. There's so many great fights, so many great weight classes, so many great talents. It's hard to pick just 5. But I guess right now, at this particular time, those are the fights I want to see. Any updates on Leo's opponent? I mean, I have an idea who he might fight, but I can't disclose that here. That's confidential information. But when it gets announced, then we'll talk about it. But right now, it is what it is. We'll wait and see. Leo needs to fight Inoue sparring partner to prove to him and beat the fuck out of Nakano. We don't need to prove anything to anybody. He's a two-time two-division world champion. He gets knocked out the #1 featherweight division last August. Did you forget already? I don't think he needs to prove anything. His resume speaks for itself. So Nakano, listen, I'm a Makita Nakano fan. I think Makita Nakano is an awesome fighter. I actually do think at some point in the future that is going to be a fight that does happen. But I don't think that fight's happening right now anytime soon. Just being honest. But listen, Makita Nakano, in my opinion, right now is the best featherweight in Japan. You know, I like him more than Toshiki Shimamachi. I like him more than Kenji Fujita. I like him more than Ryuto Owan. I think he's the best one right now of the bunch. So respect Makita Nakano. Kenshiro, yeah, look, I went back and I watched it, right? I went back and I watched the fight. And like, I'm disgusted. I'm actually disgusted. When I went back and I watched the fight, I saw a different fight. I saw Ricardo Sandoval throwing a lot of single shots, not keeping Kenshiro Taraji off of him. I saw Kenshiro pushing him back, winning the exchanges. And I feel like, they screwed Kenshiro badly. I don't know why they screwed him, but they screwed him. Like he performed better in that fight than he did against Carlos Canizales. Now, if you wanted to say he got a good decision in a fight, he got it against Canizales. They screwed him in the Sandoval fight. And I'm gonna tell you this right now: if they do a rematch, Kenshiro stopping him. I didn't pick Kenshiro to stop him in the first fight. I picked him by decision. But if they fight in the rematch, I'm picking Kenshiro by stoppage because Ricardo Sandoval can't hurt him. Ricardo Sandoval was visibly hurt in rounds 6, 11, and 12 by body shots. Like he visibly was feeling the body shots from Kenshiro Taraji. And that didn't get appreciated by the judges. And I just feel like, I don't know why they screwed him, but they did. And it's boxing. Do you think the weight classes, and my boy Munir, shout out to my boy Munir. He says, don't you think the weight classes in boxing are too close? Are they too close? That's a good question. I think you can make that argument like in the lighter weight categories. I don't feel like sometimes I don't feel like you need a 105 and a 108, but I'm sure they had their reasons. I don't know, man. It just is what it is. I think boxing has enough weight classes. They shouldn't do any more because I follow all the weight classes, and it's very hard to keep up with 17 weight classes and know what you're talking about. So sometimes I wish there were less weight classes, but it is what it is. Makita Nakano versus Shushu would be a great fight, and I think Nakano would win. Shushu doesn't seem to impress when he has the chances to. I love that fight, and I actually asked Shushu about that fight when we were after the Inoue Cardenas fight. I interviewed Shushu, and I asked him. I said, "Look, man, there was this Japanese guy who fought. He's a featherweight. If you can't get these big fights, he's an IBF. Would you consider fighting him?" And he was basically saying like, I think he said that he would like Nakano to build his name a bit more, so that when he does fight him, it means something. But listen. Makita Nakano is not anything to play around with. He's a very good fighter. How good is Murata? He has a 100% KO ratio. Subaru Murata, 122-pounder. Good fighter. I think Tekken Promotions is being a little too careful with him, matchmaking-wise. He hasn't really stepped up to the plate and fought anybody. But listen, to his credit, he's doing what he's got to do with the guys they put in front of him. So that shows a certain level of competency. I think he's going to struggle with counterpunchers when he starts fighting better competition. I think a counterpuncher is going to beat him. So a guy like, let's say, a guy that I think would be a terrible fight for him would be a guy like Marlon Tapales. I think Marlon Tapales would beat Subaru Murata if they fought, but he's a good fighter. He's a fun TV fighter. I don't know if he'll be like a dominant world champion, but I think he's going to be someone that will always be an entertaining fighter. Have I given a Canelo Crawford prediction yet? No, I haven't, because first and foremost, I want to wait to. I am favoring Canelo. I think Canelo by decision is probably what I'm leaning towards right now, but I'm gonna wait till I get my final verdict. Truth be told, guys, like I'm gonna watch the fight because it's a big event for boxing, and it's a great chance to grow my channel and make some money on YouTube and all that cool stuff. But I really don't care for the fight like the rest of the world does. I think the fight is like it's not really the main story, you know. It's like the main story is kind of like what's going on with the Ali Act and now Dana White selling going with Paramount now or whatever. Like that's the real story. I like if Crawford wins, cool. Like obviously it's great because he's beating Canelo, who's at 168. It's great if Crawford wins. If Canelo wins, he gets no credit. He shouldn't get no credit. You're fighting a welterweight. Like you're fighting a welterweight, bro. Like you don't deserve any credit if you win. So it's like I don't know. I'm not really I don't care about the fight too much now. Now maybe in a couple weeks I'll get hyped for it, but right now I don't care. Do I think Canelo is going to try to knock out Crawford? If he hurts Crawford, I think he will try to. Like if he drops Crawford early, like the way he's been dropping everybody else early, then I think okay, you will see Canelo step on the gas and try to get him out of there. But I don't know, man. I don't think it looks like I want to say this as many times as possible, so as many people hear me say this as possible. I don't think this is going to be an entertaining fight. I don't see it being an entertaining fight. I think it's going to be a boring ass fight. I think you're going to get one guy who is an exciting fighter at his weight, but he's not at his weight. He's going to be a little lumbering, and he's going to be lumbering around a little slower than usual, and he's going to be, like Crawford is not going to be Crawford in this fight, and I think you're going to get two counter punchers waiting to counter punch, and it's going to be a boring ass fight. But I hope I'm wrong. I'm hoping it's a great fight because a lot of people are going to tune in. Mexican style boxing does not beat top guys. Pan lose to Shakur and Canelo lose to Mayweather, and Bivol and Asa Cruz also lose to Tank. I don't know what you're talking about, but if you say so. I mean, those are a handful of. I can give you examples of Mexican fighters beating styles like that. What do I think Usyk ranks all time, and what do I think Inoue ranks all time? That's a great question. There's so many great, there's so many great fighters in the history of boxing, and there's so many great fighters in the history of boxing that I know their names, but I haven't studied their careers, so I don't have a full picture of what their careers actually are. But I'll say in my lifetime, since I've been watching boxing, I would say Usyk is definitely for sure in the top 10 best fighters I've ever seen in my entire life. And I would actually say Inoue is probably on that list. Inoue might be in the top 10 as well. Let me see. In my lifetime, let me see. We got Mayweather, right? Bernard Hopkins, De La Hoya, right? He's in there. Roman Gonzalez, right? Him. After that, you can debate all you want, but those like the four I would say. Them names I named there. Those are the names that since I've been watching boxing, and I've been watching boxing since 2001. Oh, Manny Pacquiao, of course. You can't forget Pacquiao. Who else am I missing? I feel like I'm missing people. Yeah, those guys are the names that I can for sure say are like easily in the top 10 best fighters I've seen since I've been watching boxing. After that, you can debate all you want. And I would say after them guys, you could put a guy like Usyk in, and you could put a guy like Inoue in. And yeah, I mean, I know some people say Andre Ward, which is fine. Andre Ward had a great career. Yeah, they're two of the top 10 best fighters I've seen in my lifetime. There is 18 weight classes. Yes, Hyro. Thank you. Yes, Bridger weight, Hyro. So I don't follow Bridger weight. I follow everything else in boxing but Bridger weight. Ooh, what are my thoughts on Michael Collin? I don't have any thoughts. I'll be honest. I don't have any thoughts. Mick Collin should not even be boxing right now. Those are my thoughts. You know what? I hate saying that. I hate telling a fighter when to retire because really and truthfully, like Roy Jones Jr. said it best. You didn't tell me when to start, so how could you tell me when to finish, right? So I didn't tell these fighters when to start boxing. I didn't know if these fighters could become great fighters, right? When they were kids and they decided to start boxing. So who the fuck is BT to tell a fighter when he should retire? But I just feel like Collin has taken a lot of punishment, and I feel like he should pay it up. But that's just me. That's just me. But again, it's his prerogative, it's his life, it's his choice, and go ahead. right now the Mexican style is not working. I mean, well, see, the Mexican style isn't just like coming forward with your on a high guard and being an idiot. A lot of people like to generalize nationalistic styles, right? And I don't feel like it's fair to do that with Mexican fighters, because for every Pitbull Cruz and flat-footed Mexican with no defense, I can point to a guy like Angelo Leo, who's a boxer puncher. I can point to a guy like Salvador Sanchez. I can point to Eric Morales. I can point to a whole lot of really good, talented Mexican fighters. So let's not do that, champ. BT, did you hear we got Philly versus Angola? I've heard. I heard that's the whole live is about. And Pedro, if you go back earlier in the live, I was talking about the foods from Angola, because Angola ain't nothing to play with. They got good food, beautiful women. Apparently the 2011 Miss Universe was from Angola. So people need to have some respect when they better put some respect on Angola. Feel me? Have I heard about Fundura versus Thurman? I told you the PBC rollout is happening. Hyro, tomorrow's live is going to be about that. So don't worry. Tomorrow, we will talk about nothing but Keith Thurman and Sebastian Fundura. But to answer your question, yes, I will talk. Yes, I've heard about it. And the minute I heard about it, I thought about you, because I know you're going to call my phone and be like, yo, BT, PBC is back. My man says Angola women, Philly women. Oh, I don't know about that one, Chef. I know some pretty what are they saying, Philly? I know some pretty Johns out there in Philly. So I want to disagree. I have an affinity for the women of Philadelphia. So I'm not gonna agree with you there. But Angola will have a chance to be better than Philly October the 11th when Jaron Ennis fights Usima Lima. So we shall see. We shall definitely see. Yes, the real discussion. Shout out to everybody here rocking me. Hey, let me know where you guys watch me from. What city, what state, what continent, what country? Where you guys watch me from? Check in. It's a real conversation. There's beauty in all cultures. All right. There's no culture in the world, in my opinion, right? Because I don't discriminate. I know people got a type. I know some people like, you may like black women. Some people may like Latinas. Some people may like white girls. Listen, we don't discriminate here on True School Sports. I like women from all the cultures. Now, do I have a preference? Do I have a favorite? Yes. I like girls that look like Pocahontas. So the girls from Arizona that like Pocahontas, them light-skinned girls from the Bay Area, them, those tend to be, I tend to like women that look like that most of the time. But there's beauty in every culture. There's beautiful everything. Angola, Philly, everything. BT, any thoughts on Marcus Vi? Him and the Villar fought this weekend. I haven't watched Marcus Vi fight in a while. I know he had a tough loss to Damian Sosa about a year and some change ago. Big, strong kid, can punch. Yeah, that's really my only thoughts on him. Like, I don't think he's a championship fighter. I've never thought that, but he's a good, strong fighter. Chicago in the building. AZ, Arizona in the building. Shout out to Arizona. What are my thoughts on Nishat Dev? What's funny about Nishat Dev? I'm gonna tell you guys a story, and I got a prospect review video coming out on Nishat Dev soon, so stay tuned for that. There's 13 prospect review videos coming out. I can't remember when the first one drops, but whenever it starts from that day forward, there's 13 straight days of at least one prospect or contender that I've never talked about on this channel video being dropped. So stay tuned for that. But Nishat Dev is one of the guys I made a video about. Good fighter. I actually met Nishat Dev the second day he was ever in America, because he was sitting next to my boy Coach Ron Sims at the Floyd Schofield Renee Teles fight when I was covering it, and I wanted to go say Coach Ron Sims, who's a good friend of the channel, and he introduced me to Nishat Dev, and I didn't know who Nishat Dev was at the time, and I've done my homework. He's a good fighter, man. 6'1", southpaw, 154-pounder, good hand speed. Needs to work on his stamina. Stamina's not great, but definitely has some skills and some pedigree and some positive attributes. So I'm gonna tell y'all this: if Nishat Dev winds up winning a world title, he has a chance to become the biggest star in the whole sport of boxing. Because, bro, there has never been a legitimate Indian world champion in the history of boxing. When you talk about India, you're talking about a population size of 1.4, 1.5 billion roughly. So, think about that. Think about the possibilities of that untapped market in India if that guy becomes a world champion. In true school sports, we like all women as long as they're born women. Facts. Big facts. Hey, BT, 5 countries would you want to have a big boom in boxing popularity and produce more boxing talents? Oh, that's a great question. I would say, as many of you know, I have an affinity for Japan, so I would like to see Japan start to produce more talents above the featherweight limit and more champions above the featherweight limit. So Japan, in that regard, definitely the African country, because I feel like the African countries always have so much odds stacked against them. Definitely them. I definitely want to see the Dominican Republic continue to rise in boxing. I definitely want. Let me see where else. I've always been surprised that China wasn't bigger in boxing. So I'll say China. Why not China? And then give me somewhere like. I'll go with those countries, and then I'll say I'll like the South Florida fighters to continue to improve. So I'll say that. True School. Do you know who Vernon Brown is? Yes, I know who Vernon Brown is. I just posted a short of Vernon Brown. He just got a big knockout victory over Gore Yurtseven. It was an upset victory. Knocked him spark out. And good for him. He's still 36, 37 years old, southpaw, and he does his thing, man. Did his thing. Oh shit! He said, "That's my dad." Shout out to your pops, man. Good fighter. He's been there with some good fighters. He gets beat a good fighter, and I'm hoping he gets an opportunity to continue his career. He's, he's not a contender, but he's at a good level where if he wins a fight or two, he could be a contender. So I respect to him. Good fighter. Let me see. It's a long-winded question, but rank these fighters from 2005, 2015, and 2025. Okay, my man Pedro says WBA Lamont Roach versus Takashi Uchiyama, Vicente Mosquera. Are these like fantasy fights? Are you asking me to pick a winner? I think you're asking me to pick a winner. I'm a little confused. Are you asking me to pick a winner for the fights? Oh, okay. So pick the winners. Okay, so I'll see. Roach versus Roach versus Uchiyama would have been a crazy fight because Uchiyama can really freaking punch. That's a tough fight. But you know what? I think Lamont Roach would have had the durability to deal with the pop, and I think he would have made the adjustments. So I would say Lamont Roach by split decision in that fight. Vicente Mosquera versus Oshaki Foster versus Mura. Am I reading these matches correctly? Because they're kind of spaced out weird. Vicente Mosquera. If you're asking me Foster versus Mura, I think Mura would pack Foster up. I think Foster get packed the fuck up by Takashi Mura. He gets hit too much. Eduardo Sugar Nunez versus Pedraza. That's a good fight. Give me Nunez in that fight. Navarrete versus Ramon Martin. Okay. MAB is Barrera. Okay, Barrera. You're saying so? Mira versus Barrera. Is that what you asked? WBC. I mean, those are all good fights, man. It's hard to pick. It's hard to pick against Barrera. You said the other Japanese dude was gonna beat Norman Jr. When? When did I say that? See this the problem I have with you. See now it's almost midnight and y'all gonna give me a crash out because one thing I don't got no tolerance for is when people come on a channel and they start talking bullshit out the side of their mouth, talking about things I did not say. Now, do I like Jin Sasaki? Yes, I'm a big fan of Jin Sasaki. And was I excited for the fight? Yes. Did I campaign for the fight because I thought it would produce something explosive because Brian Norman Jr. and Jin Sasaki are two of the hardest punching fighters in the welterweight division? Yes, I did. And I'm happy the fight happened. And I was happy to be at the fight. But let me tell you something. Go back and watch the lives. Go back and watch the shorts. I did not pick Jin Sasaki. In fact, my official prediction for that fight was Brian Norman Jr. in 7 rounds. I was 2 rounds off. I saw Jin Sasaki spar going into that fight. I saw Brian Norman Jr. train going into that fight. I knew it was gonna happen. You know, I didn't think Jim was gonna get knocked out like that bad. I was thinking more of like an accumulation stoppage, but you know, I knew something explosive would happen. But don't put words in my mouth. Don't sit here and say, oh, I picked a guy to win because I like him and campaign for him to get a fight. That's not picking a guy to win. I picked Brian Norman, and I was 2 rounds off. Okay, cool. No need to crash, bro. My bad, bro. I gotta eat soon. Sometimes when I don't eat, I get a little antsy. So I gotta eat soon. He said it would be a good fight, and shit, it was. It was a good fight. You had one guy get a knockout of the year, and although Sasaki was outgunned and he was game, he didn't fight like no bitch. He went there and fought him. If you go back and you watch the fight, Norman got hit with some shots where, you know, he had to reset. Like, he respected Sasaki's power. So it wasn't like it was a good fight for what it was. It was, you know, it was a mismatch. Turned out to be a mismatch, but it was mismatch because Brian Norman is that good. And I'm excited for this Devin Haney fight, man. Devin Haney's a world-class fighter. I'm excited to see Brian Norman how he does in there with an elite mover like Devin Haney. You know, he hasn't really fought to the defense of Devin Haney fans. He hasn't fought a mover probably since Quentin Randall. So, you know, they have a reason to question Brian Norman Jr. But it's gonna be a fun fight. Nah, you know what it is? I'm gonna tell you what it is. It's nothing on you, champ. It's just that people come here and they think that because I'm an advocate for Japanese fighters that they think that I pick them all to win their fights. So it happens a lot. So I just get frustrated at times. But thank you. You good, champ. Everyone talks shit about Jim, but I think that fight will age great for Norman. I think so too. You know, even with the loss, he still got one of the highest knockout ratios in the entire division. You know, he's one of the hardest punching welterweights in the division by far. BT, what's the best chess match you've seen in boxing? As in, what boxing match you've seen show the highest form of IQ between them? Oh my God, there's a lot of them, man. There's a lot of great fights that I could name. If I gotta pick one fight, if you want the definitive true school sports chess match, I would say that the definitive true school sports chess match would be the fight between Mike McCallum and James Toney. If you want to see what a great chess match looks like, just go watch Mike McCallum versus James Toney. Hell, watch both of them. They're both very high-level chess matches, and they're high-level chess matches between two very, very aggressive, dangerous fighters, right? You'll see sequences sometimes where you know, McCallum will get off 3 or 4 shots in a row, and Toney will slip all of them. And then Toney will throw 3 or 4 shots, and McCallum will block and slip all of them. And so, like, there's very few fights in box history where you can see 10 punches being thrown in like a 15-second span or a 10-second span, and all 10 of them, 5 on one side and 5 on the other, are blocked by both fighters. That's as high level as it gets. So if you're asking for the definitive chess match, I'm gonna go with that one. You know, great fight. Like, I'm not a Devin Haney fan. Like, I'm not. I'm really indifferent towards Devin Haney, and his fans are some of the most annoying, most delusional fans in all of boxing. But I'm not a hater. Devin Haney is a world-class fighter. You know, he is. Facts. Facts with McClellan and Toney. Hell yeah. Doing the same, by the way, I'm picking the best matchups. Pick the winner, WBO. Espinoza versus Lomachenko. Okay. Oh, man. Man. Now, that's a fight. That's a fight. Fuck. I mean, I feel like it would be easy to say Lomachenko just because Lomachenko, you know, he's Lomachenko. He's skillful. He gets round fighters. But, man, Espinoza is so hard to deal with. I would say Lomachenko wins a fight by split decision, but like his face would be like damn near broken. Like he'd have swelling all over his face. So he'd win the fight, but he'd lose the war, the battle of attrition, because that's the kind of fight that would take years off his career. But I would say Loma by split. And now, see, like now you're making me like you're putting me in a rock and hard place because I'm that's my guy. I'm biased. I love Angelo, and I really do think he's a great fighter. Angel Lea versus Marquez at featherweight. Would have been a great fight. You would have had Marquez with the counter punching versus the volume punching of Angelo. But not just the volume punching, but also Angelo's ability to angle and counter himself. So tough fight. Tough fight, man. Man, well, who was that guy he lost to? Didn't Marquez lose to that? Was it Chris John? He lost to Chris John, right? And I think Angelo's better than Chris John. So that's a pick 'em fight. You know, Angelo's durable. I don't think he's getting knocked out by Marquez. Angelo's never been dropped his entire pro career. So fuck it. We're gonna go with Angelo. We'll go Lomachenko by split and Angelo by close UD. Nah, he would not. Fuck that. We beat Marquez. We beat Marquez. Yeah, like that. Like people want to romanticize Marquez because he's a great fighter. He's a Hall of Famer, right? He knocked out Pacquiao after fighting him 4 times. But man, bro, come on, man. He lost to Chris John. Man. If you lost to Chris John, you're gonna lose to Angelo Lea. I'm sorry. We doing triangle theories. 100%. Nah, honestly, it's a good fight. Angelo could lose that fight, but I ain't picking again. If I'm part of the team, we're gonna beat Marquez. I gotta believe. What does Inoue have to do to change your mind and be number 1 to pass Floyd? Man, to pass Floyd now, in my opinion, in order for Inoue to pass Floyd Mayweather, because Mayweather was a champion in 5 weight classes? Might have been 6, but I'm pretty sure it was 5. What would definitely do it for me is if he beats Junto, goes undisputed at featherweight, because I don't think that's happening, and then picks up a title at 130. Just any title. He do that, then then you can make a case, but he got to stay undefeated and do it. Oh, man. Nah, man, I'll tell you this. He says, Leo going to juice in that fight, BT? Look, you see what he did to Bernardo match shit. You don't want to see what. Listen, if he were to get on the juice, you would be out of it. Listen, that'd be a cheat code. DT is coping. I'm not. I believe, man. Call it delusion, call it bias, I believe, man. Listen, all their fighters, every fighter can lose a fight, but I believe. Marquez is on the juice. Hey, but Chris John beat him? Come on, man. Chris John beat him. Norwood beat him. It ain't impossible. Come on, man. You making that sound you asking like you didn't ask. Now, if you would have asked Eric Morales, I would have said, okay, I don't think Angelo beat Eric Morales. That's a harder fight. Stylistically, I think Eric Morales probably beat Angelo. But Marquez, we beat Marquez. We packing him up. That's like saying Leo could beat Barrero. Shit, I believe, man. Why not? Why not, champ? Didn't Barrero lose to since? I believe, champ. Didn't Barrera lose to Junior Jones? Didn't he get beat up by Junior Jones? or Morales? Who lost to Junior Jones? I know one of them lost to Junior Jones. Like, you got, like, obviously those guys are great fighters, and I don't want to downplay them, right? But you guys are naming fighters that I know for a fact that they beat those guys, and Angelo is a more talented fighter than those guys. But anyway, I don't want to like disparage any of the legends. I got respect for the OGs. What else did I miss, man? We here, man. It's your boy BT, True Squad the Dog. We having fun talking that shit, man. Nakatani is fighting Cardenas. That's a good fight, you know. I'll tell you this, man. If Cardenas beat the brakes off Junto and get him and pack him up and get him out of there, wow, what a statement that would be. I don't think that's gonna happen, but man, when I was in the arena for the Cardenas fight and he dropped Inoue, it was crazy, bro. I thought I thought for a second that we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna lose, or he's gonna lose. He lose the fight to Cardenas, and it all ends here. But you know, he got off the campus and showed his class. So it'd be crazy if he finishes that job with Junto this time. Yeah, Cardenas is a good fighter, man. People want to downplay him. He dropped in a way. He beat Brian Acosta, who was ranked when he fought him, and they had plans for him. I think he's better than people give him credit for. Jesus Cuellar versus Nick Ball. Stephen Fulton versus Gary Russell Jr. Man, you coming up with some great fantasy fights here. I'll actually go Jesus Cuellar by decision, and I will go with Stephen Fulton by decision as well in that fight. Know what I'm saying? Shout out to my man, the boxing nerd. Hey, Philly versus Angola, champ. It is what it is. But I already talked about this. You might need to go back in the live and go look at what I said. But it could be a good fight. We'll see how it goes. Wish it was a better opponent, but it's boxing. You can't always get what you want. So we'll move on. What's with the weird ass title, bro? What's weird about it? Philly versus Angola. Where's Jaron Ennis from? Jaron Ennis is from Philadelphia. Where is Usima Lima from? He is from Angola. They are fighting each other. It's mano a mano, which makes it a rivalry. Philly, Angola, the new rivalry in boxing. The second part says, I love Jaron Ennis, so I tell the truth. I love Jaron Ennis. I'm a big fan of Jaron Ennis. I was there when he fought Delorme. One of the very few in the crowd that was there when he fought Delorme. I've always been a big fan of his. So you know what? I love the guy so much, I tell the truth about him, even if I don't like it. Even some of my favorite fighters, I love them so much, I tell the truth about them. Filip Hrgović, right? He's fighting this weekend. He's fighting David Adelaide. Everyone knows. Everyone in this chat that's watched me talk about Filip Hrgović knows how much I love Filip Hrgović. That's my guy. That's my friend in real life. But I'll be honest, that boy Filip Hrgović has been he's given sluggish performance after sluggish performance, and he has a lot to prove. He looked like a hype job. And he needs to go out here and make a statement against Adelaide, get involved in these big fights, win one of these big fights, and show the world that, hey, he's definitely one of them top guys. Because until then, he's going to be looked at by the majority of the boxing world as maybe a solid heavyweight, but a hype job. So got to go ahead and do his thing. But yeah, Philly versus Angola, the new rivalry in boxing. I mean, I thought he beat Zhang. I thought Zhang gave away the second half of the fight, but I hear you. Yeah, Philly versus Angola. I'm gonna tell you guys this. The week of that fight, we're gonna do a video. I'm gonna tell my dad. I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna look at all the top dishes from Angola, and we're gonna cook the dishes for all the top foods and plates from Angola. We're gonna cook them on the live on YouTube with Pops. And we're going to eat the dishes from Angola to get hyped for the Boots Usima Lima fight. You guys said Zhang should have beat Parker? Yeah, I mean, I thought Parker, what do you mean? Like you thought he got robbed, or you thought he was the favorite and he should have won. What do you mean? Like, Phillips should lose to the top British heavyweights like Fabio. He ain't losing on Fabio. You keep talking that Fabio. He ain't losing on Fabio. He really shouldn't have lost to Dubois, to be honest with you, but Dubois was able to get away with some leading with the head and, Philip, I think, overtrained for that fight, in my opinion, but he lost. So we move on and rebuild. Yeah, but that's been Zhang's problem. Zhang is very hard puncher, very dangerous. Everyone in the mother knows Zhang is one of the most dangerous people in boxing, but he don't got no gas. He's a 5-round fighter at best, 7 if he really has a good camp. After that, he starts blowing out of his ass. He can't fight no more. So that's who he's been his entire career. So Floyd versus Crawford at 147. Oh, come on, man. Floyd Mayweather. You crazy? Floyd Mayweather would have beat Terence Crawford. I have zero doubt about it in my mind. Terence is a great fighter, and a great welterweight, but yeah, he ain't the kind of guy that I think beats Floyd. Good fighter, great fighter though, but he's not beating Floyd. Floyd makes adjustments too fast for Terence. Terence likes to be aggressive. Floyd would counterpunch Terence. He 117, 111 Terence. Wasn't Angelo the WBA champ? No, he was never the WBA champion. He was the WBO champion at 122, and then he's IBF champion now at featherweight. He did win a WBA like one of those little trinkets that you do to get ranked. He won one of those when he fought Nicholas Polanco, I believe it was. Yep. Ooh, Ike Corte versus Shane Mosley at 147. That's a great fight. I'm gonna go with Ike Corte, man. Mosley was he was a very good welterweight. I don't think he gets the credit he deserves for the Margarito fight, but maybe he could have tried to outbox Corte and run him into something, but I think Ike Corte would have just been too strong for him down the stretch. But of course, this all depends, of course, because if Shane Mosley has Victor Conte with him, teaching him how to put EPO on his ass for that fight, then maybe he beats Ike Corte. Because if you watch, was it De La Hoya? Was it the first De La Hoya fight? Bro, Shane Mosley caught the craziest second win I ever seen. Like, dude's he's laboring. It's a fight. It's and boom, out of nowhere, just out of nowhere, the craziest second win in the history of boxing. An ungodly second win that he caught in the first De La Hoya fight. I couldn't believe it. I still can't believe it. Every now and then when I watch that fight, it's like, wow, like, I know you might have trained hard, but ain't nobody trained that damn hard to get that kind of second win. Hell no, nah, bro. You was on some shit. And of course we know that because Victor Conte gave that to him. And I'm gonna tell you guys this. Speaking of Victor Conte, Victor Conte better stop talking crazy about my boy Sean Tatel. He better stop. He better stop talking about Sean Tatel on Twitter. Listen, he's over here doing all these mental gymnastics on Sean Tatel. Because Sean Tatel didn't even lie on his name or nothing. All Sean Tatel did was quote and share something Victor said about circumventing steroid tests in boxing. He didn't misquote him. He used Victor Conte's own quotes from a video. So, he needs to stop lying on my boy Sean Tatel's name. Trying to make Sean Tatel look like the bad guy to all these fighters out here. Like, and no, man, I'm tired of that. People keep saying that the boxing media is bad and this, that, and the third, but people don't want to be held accountable. And when you get a guy like Sean Tatel who holds people accountable, all of a sudden now it's an issue. So nah, man, I'm telling you right now, Victor Conte better stop, because there will come a day, because it always happens. It always happens. I'm not planning on traveling anytime soon, to be honest with you, but I'm gonna travel again one day. And God forbid I see Victor Conte, because if I see Victor Conte, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna let him know, like, bro, you better stop talking about Sean Tatel and put some respect on his name. We're not doing that, champ. We're not doing that. If you got a problem with what he said, then you got a problem with what you said because he quoted you. Sean calls out all the bullshit. He does. He calls out all the bullshit, you know. And I'm glad that I'm glad that we're friends and whatnot. You know, it's the Zattel True School era, the True School Zattel era. That's my guy. We taking over the boxing game together, and I'm happy he has his own channel now because I was telling him like 9 years ago, like, yo, bro, like, you're really good. I was telling him back when he was on the Boxing Boys, like, yo, bro, you're really, really good. Like, you're putting out your own content, you know. And I'm so happy he is, you know. I saw some of Leo's previous fights, and his chin is really good. He's taking punches for some real punches, and he eats them all in response. Yeah, man, and that's what I'm saying. And he trains to be a durable fighter. Like a lot of these fighters, I won't say what it is, but you know, if any coach that's worth the weight in salt, you know what type of things you need to train so that your fighter can be as durable as possible. A lot of these fighters, even some of the guys that you think could beat Angelo, there are certain things that they're not training that's going to make them very chinny, and we know who's chinny at featherweight. So, you know, we can't wait for when they sign them contracts. Especially with the Turkey Pete. Yeah, man, listen, I love Sean. Like, that's like, he's my friend. He's my colleague. You know, it's the True School Zattel True School era together. So it's like, I learn a lot from him, and you know, he learns a lot from me. We feed off each other. So like, I love the guy, man. I love him. I love what he represents for boxing. And listen, I'm not trying to talk shit about other reporters, other channels, because truth be told, I don't give a fuck about a lot of these channels. I stay to myself. I make my own content. I just want to cover boxing and be out the way. I'm not trying to get into no drama. But when I go to Vegas, I see a lot of these channels. I'm in the same rooms, and I stay to myself there. And a lot of them just be on some bullshit. Like, and he's one of the real ones for sure. So, yeah, I don't like when I see people like Victor Conti talking sideways about Sean Zattel, because, you know, there's a reason why people don't trust you, bro. Bro, I know people can change, okay? I understand it. Listen, I'm a Christian. I believe in second chance. I believe in grace. I believe in forgiveness. I believe in all that stuff. So I believe it's possible Victor Conti could have changed and all these kind of things. But just because you change, the consequences of mistakes made in your past don't always escape you. You don't get afforded that luxury. So of course, people are going to look at what you did in baseball, you know, with the Balco scandal. They're going to look at you with Shane Mosley, and they're going to look at you and say, you know, you're like, we're not going to trust you. And they're going to be okay for that. So what Hyro says, would you go after Nick Ball if he decides to vacate the title to fight Jazza Dickens in 130 for the full title? I mean, listen, all those options are open. 130, look, 130 is a division that doesn't really have a guy, so it's always a possibility that if Bell goes vacant, you know, you never know. We could move up and fight someone there, but you know, right now the focus is on the fights at featherweight. If Angelo was WBA champ, I would love Angelo versus Navarrete at 130. Great fight, you know, great fight. Two great volume punchers. Why not? Be a really entertaining fight. Is Japan one of your favorite places to go? By far. There's obviously a lot of places in America I want to go see still. But if we're talking about internationally, man, there is no other place. Japan is like my second home, you know, at this point. When I go there now, like I know certain areas of like Yokohama, and I know certain areas of Tokyo, and I know certain areas of Takamatsu, and like I know places. It's crazy to me. Like, so yeah, I love Japan. It's the place to go for me, outside of America, of course. Read tea leaves and you see there's some suspicious things with the snack camp. I mean, yeah, man, like, well, there's smoke, there's fire. Like, personally, like, if you want my honest opinion, I don't really care. Like, I don't really care about this whole thing because a lot of people in boxing don't care. They like to act like they care about steroid use and PEDs. I used to care. I don't really care anymore because nobody actually cares. And the boxing industry doesn't care. Only thing I care about is that, like, you know, if I'm helping one of these fighters, like advising them or whatever, or in the case being part of Team Rio, as long as those fighters aren't getting screwed over because somebody else taking steroids, then we're okay. But other than that, I don't really care. If I'm being 100% honest with you. Beep Bop Jones says, cheers to the champions. Shout out to you, champ. Good to see you. Yeah, like people want to pretend to care and virtue signal and say this and say that. It's like, bro, you guys don't give a damn. Like, let's be honest here. You didn't care about PEDs with a lot of other fighters. Now you care because it affected Devin Haney. Like, get the fuck out of here. You don't care about PEDs in boxing. I don't think anyone at the top of 126 is on anything. Right now, I mean, even if I did, I'm not gonna say. I'm not gonna say who I think it is. I don't want to make any accusations, but you never know in boxing. You never know. Fulton versus Leo 2 would have been incredible. It sucks it won't happen. Yeah, it sucks it won't happen. It's, and it's not because of us. Fulton wants to go to 130. Sora Tanaka, he got hit. Do you think he can become a champion? His style going straight fire versus fire, crafty boxer, smoke him. I like Sora. I think he's very entertaining. I think it would really be good for him if he could move down one weight class to 140. I think he'd be a better 140 pounder. But either way, he needs to really become a more refined, more sophisticated fighter. I'll be honest with you. I think forget being a top 15 contender or fighting on the world stage. If Sora Tanaka fought Jin Sasaki, I think Jin Sasaki would put him in a body bag, Honestly, and Jin Sasaki, a lot of people don't even look at him as a world fighter, but he was, he was number 2 in the WBO. He's WBO Asia Pacific champion. He conquered Asia, so he could say in his region that's like the best fighter for his weight class. I don't think he beats him right now. He has a lot he needs to work on. You can't ever say nobody's on anything. Yeah, I mean, because like nobody's ever on. You know what I really respect in boxing? I would really respect if could you guys imagine if a fighter got caught for steroids and was just honest? Like imagine if a fighter got caught for steroids and was like, you know what? I took steroids because I wanted to get a competitive advantage. I wanted to take my family out the hood. I wanted to improve my economic situation, and this gave me a competitive advantage to win the fights to put myself in a better economic situation. Right? If somebody said I took steroids because I just wanted to cheat and get an advantage, that would become my favorite fighter in boxing. Because every time someone tests positive for steroids, they play stupid, like, oh, I don't know how it got in my system. I don't know how. Like, come on, man. I don't know. And then what they all do, like Conor Ben and Alicia Bumgarner, what they all wind up doing when they say they tested positive for steroids, they all wind up getting the whatever test results they got tested by another person, another agency. They always come back negative, and then they say we're now justified. This now proves that I was clean. But if you needed another testing agency to prove that you were clean, why did you sign up for drug testing with this agency? So now you're trying to demean the testing agency that caught you by getting another one to say you were clean. So it's all bullshit. It's all, It's all bullshit. Like I really wish people would just be honest about everything. Like people like to be like, oh, people like to be like, oh, well, like even reporters, right? They're like, oh, I'm not biased. I'm not biased at all. And that's bullshit. Everyone's biased. I got biases. You got biases. We all got biases and favorites. You try your best to not be biased, but we all have biases. Everyone knows. Okay, I'll tell you my. You guys know my biases. Fighters that I like: Angelo Leo, of course, Kenshiro, Brian Oman Jr. You could say him even to a point now. Philip Hergovich. That's really it. It's only a handful of fighters I can say I'm biased for, and even with them, I still gotta talk. I still gotta like be honest about them, right? But a lot of people can't even admit that they're biased for certain fighters. Like I know people from other YouTube channels that interview certain fighters all the time, and they're clearly biased for them. But then you talk to them, and they say, "Well, I'm not biased." Like, come on, man. We're all biased. We all got biases. That's like when you see a woman, right? Or some of us like black girls, some of us like Mexican girls, some of us like Eastern European women. We all have biases. So stop acting like nobody's not biased. We all have our own biases. It's just being aware of them. Have you seen if Hayato Tsutsumi wins on Saturday, he's getting a title shot? Is he? So if he wins, he's with who? The IBF, the WBA? good for him. I mean, he's good enough to fight for a title. He was good enough to fight for a title like 3 fights ago. He's really, really good. Let me see. Tsutsumi is ranked number what? He's ranked number 3 in the WBA. So what? I would assume he's gonna go the WBA route and fight what? Jazza Dickens. He'll beat Jazza Dickens. I mean, Jazza Dickens is a good fighter. What's up with Isaac Chamberlain beats? That's a great question, man. I haven't really heard much from Isaac. To be honest with you, I haven't talked to him in a while either, so I don't even know. I might need to go. I might need to go ahead and talk to him soon, see what's up. I'm not gonna answer that question. I mean, well, I'll answer it, but they're not married. But I'll say Mario Barrios. So you got Mario Figueroa, the best conditioning coach in boxing. But that's about it. That's all I'll say on that. We can't covet other people's wives. You know, there's enough beautiful men in the world to go around. We don't need to covet somebody else's wife or girlfriend. There's more than enough beautiful women in the world. But it's your boy BT, Brendan Taylor, the untouchable True School Sports Empire. Make sure you guys smash that like button, subscribe. Definitely super chat. We here in full effect. Just talking boxing. You know, definitely giving the boxing fans that the best content we can. There's so many videos scheduled to come out, and still more content to catch up on. And so, yeah, it's great to be here. He's in promotional purgatory. Yeah, I mean, he was a boxer fighter, so I know there's been a big thing going on with Ben Shalom and boxers, so he's probably a casualty of that situation right now, and that's really affecting him. Diego Corrales, ooh, that's a fight. See, now that right there, that's a real good fight between Corrales and Linares. I think it'd be a competitive fight, a fun fight while it lasts, but Diego Corrales punches way too hard for Linares. Linares probably has, I think Linares had probably the worst chin in boxing over the last 15 to 20 years. I actually think Linares' chin was worse than Amir Khan's. So I think, you know, it'd be a fun fight. You know, Linares' speed and his fundamentals, I think, would trouble Corrales early, but inevitably Corrales is going to get to him and knock him the fuck out pretty much. So, yeah, that's how it's going to go. Let me see. What are some fights that you guys are excited about? I'm gonna tell y'all like this. I'm gonna tell you guys a story. I told it earlier in the live. I won't name the fighter at all. But like today, I got someone asked me to look over this boxing contract, and I looked at it, and it was crazy. Yo, if y'all really want to understand boxing on the highest level, just read a promotional contract. You'll get really discouraged reading a promotional contract because 9.999 times out of 10, promoters are gonna fuck these fighters because the fighters don't know what they're getting themselves into, and they don't even know what they're signing. They just want to fight, and nobody's telling the fighters or making the fighters understand the gravity of what they're signing. So it's like I was reading a promotional contract today, and I was like, wow, like man, these promoters really try to exploit these fighters, especially the fighters that don't speak English. Oh my god. They get it the worst. The UK media treated Francisco Rodriguez Jr. like the Antichrist when he got caught cheating, and then they go put up Dillian White, a guy who's been caught juicing multiple times. That's how it goes, man. They're mad. They're mad because he was juicing and he beat the brakes off of their gold medalist, right? Which is wrong. We don't agree with that. But like Dillian White, you know, nobody's perfect. We all sin and fall short of the glory of God. But damn, like you tested positive a gajillion times. You still fighting, and people still want, you know. Martinez versus him. Ooh, good fight. Really good fight, man. Explode. That's one of the best fights in boxing remaining for 2025. That's now when I make stupid comments and I say things like, at least we're getting the fights. This is one of them times where I will actually say, at least we're getting the fights. This is a great fight. And this is actually a fight that I don't think probably would have happened without Turkey. So you know what? Tip of the cap to Turkey Al-Alshi. Make sure you guys go clip that. Go clip that part. Tip of the cap to Turkey Al-Alshi. That is a great fight. I like that fight. How good was Evan Valero? Very. We never found out because ultimately he died before we could fully find that out. But man, Edwin Valero is one of the most vicious fighters of the last 20 years. Hard punching southpaw, heavy hands. Had the potential to go down as one of the greats. There's all these stories about him beating the fuck out of Oscar De La Hoya in sparring, and that's he made his name in sparring and stuff. But we never got to really see. Am I managing him? I wouldn't say I'm managing him because I'm not a manager, but I'm definitely I'm advising him. I'm gonna say I'm advising him. Managers have money and stuff to pour out. So for that I can't say I'm a manager, but I'm making sure he's not getting screwed over because this boxing game is so cold, guys. Like if you guys knew what I knew about the sport of boxing, like however bad you think it is, times it by like 100,000. It is so cold and it is so heartless and it is so unforgiving. So it's like, this young fighter, he's like he's super young, but he's ranked. He's ranked in all 4 of the sanctioning bodies. I think he's gonna win a world title like in the near future, and they're trying to screw him before he gets to the world title. It's crazy. What's my Pop's thoughts on Haney fighting Norman? Oh, I mean, maybe tomorrow we'll get Pops on the live, but he's pretty much on the same type of time as me. He thinks Haney's gonna get the breaks being out of him. LMA, use that mind, BT. It ain't all about the money. No, it's not. Not at all. It's not at all. And the crazy thing is, like, the money that they put in these contracts ain't even crazy money like that. It's like, it'd be like slavery money. Like, man, if you want to sign me for that much, shit, I would change my name to Harriet Tubman. Man, treat me like a slave. Like, crazy. No, I'm not Al Heyman because Al Heyman never talked to you guys like this before, so I can't be Al Heyman. I'm just BT, man. I'm BT, just a kid from Daniel. Who I don't know anything, man. I sit in my room. I don't have no life. I don't have no friends. I don't do anything. I don't do anything. But no, man, it's crazy. That's why when a fighter gets everything out of the career, like when you see a guy like, let's say, Canelo, even a Crawford, or even a guy like Tevin Farmer, when you see a fighter get everything possible out of his career, not just in the ring but outside of it, you got to be happy for him because this game is so cold, guys. It's so unbelievably cold. BT, how do you think Usyk would have done against Ike Abiabuchi? Oh man, that's a fantasy fight right there. I think Usyk would have lost to Riddick Bowe, but Abiabuchi would have been crazy because Abiabuchi was very physically strong, so he could have pushed Usyk back. He had a very good jab. Man, Usyk might have got slept by Ike Abiabuchi. He'd have to really box and move that fight because there's no way he's gonna win he's gonna win the exchange with him. No way. He's too strong. He'd have to box him. That would have been a tough one. You never promoted Michael. I'm not Al Heyman, and I don't want to be Al Heyman. I don't want to be nobody else but BT. I'm perfectly content being Brendan Taylor. It's not even close what it cost. No, it's not. I mean, forget. It's not even enough to survive living for 4 months in America. It's bad. That's bad. It's crazy. It's crazy, and then they expect you to like do everything. Like I never understood why they call promoters because a lot of promoters don't promote. Like they have a TV network, they have a platform, but they don't really promote. Like they're not in the community doing promotional work so people know who you are. They're not getting you on all the top TV shows to talk so people can know who you know. Like they don't. Very few promoters actually promote. That's a fact. So every fighter is fighting an uphill battle. So I respect any and all fighters who find a way to get what they want in the ring and outside the ring. And a lot of that time that comes down to your team, that comes down to management. So I'm really just it's befuddling to me because I've seen it I've seen it with prospects, I've seen it with gatekeepers, I've seen it with world champions, I've seen it with contenders. I mean, I've seen fighters get fucked at all levels of boxing. So it's like I've seen a lot. I don't want to say I've seen it all because I know I haven't seen it all, but I've seen some shit. let me see, guys. Keep them questions coming. Like we're coming up on 2 hours, so I'm gonna end the live soon. But if y'all want me to stay for 10 more minutes, let me know. I'll go 10 more minutes, and then I'm gonna get up. I'm gonna get up off here unless the live really turns up, you know. So yeah, it's your boy BT. We're live. True School After Dark with the boxing fans. Can you see Angelo walking to OT Mexican? No. Angelo is going to walk out to his Vicente Fernandez and keep it nice and simple. We don't need to do that. Wants to have a fight. Here comes Don King. So to say they're under contract, like Michael Hunter. You know, a lot of fighters. You know, because what a lot of these promoters do, and see, a lot of boxing fans may not know this. So I'll tell you guys this. What winds up happening with these boxing contracts is they'll put stipulations in there. So, for example, right, the fighter whose contract I was reading today, there was a clause in it that said if the fighter even gets ranked, not win a world title, not fight on pay-per-view, if he even gets ranked, the contract automatically renews for a year. Now, mind you guys, it's already a 3-year contract, and the guy's already ranked. So if it's already a 3-year contract and the guy's already ranked, the minute he signs, the 3-year contract becomes a 4-year contract. So it's just crazy. It's crazy. And the crazy thing is, that's not even the worst clause I've ever seen. Like I know another fighter who was like, where it was like, if you win every fight, every 2 fights you win, the contract renews for a year or some shit. I've seen all kinds of stuff. I've seen like if you win the WBA Fed Latin title, your contract automatically renews for 2 years. So it's like when you negotiate a contract for a fighter, you have to negotiate like opt-out clauses so that the fighter has leeway to maneuver if the promoters don't do their job. Because what happens is the promoters will offer a contract, the fighter will take the fight and be under that contract, and now they have no room to get out the contract if the promoter decides to not hold up the end of the bargain, or they can't hold up the end of the bargain, and the fighter loses a year, 2 years, 3 years of their career. That's really why a lot of fighters have layoffs and inactivity. If you guys ever wonder why fighters have inactivity, yeah, there's fighters that turn down fights and that don't really want to fight, but a lot of times it's because these fighters sign contracts they didn't negotiate at all, and they just get fucked. So that's really the long and the short of it. But Ricky Hatton versus Adrian Broner, that would have been a crazy fight. I would love to say Broner wins that fight. But I don't know, man. Ricky Hatton had a real grinding style. Broner, sometimes, you could out hustle Broner. I could see Hatton winning that fight the way he did with Costa Zoo. So they could fight. I'm gonna say Hatton wins by close decision. It's insane that in any other sport, guys won't sign unless they can't get opt-out clauses. Yeah, exactly. But in boxing, you gotta remember, guys, a lot of these fighters, they come from like real poverty, like the sticks, the trenches, like the ghetto, bro. So a lot of these fighters haven't seen $10,000 at a time in their life. They haven't seen 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. None of that. They never seen none of that kind of money in their entire life. So all a promoter got to do is dangle 30K or 20K or 10K in front of them, little signing bonus, get them to sign that contract without reading it, and then boom, you got them locked in. And the fighter won't even think twice about negotiating an opt-out clause because they're thinking, okay, I got this $20,000 right here. I'm trying to get my family out the hood, which, $20,000 really isn't a lot of money when you think about it. But, if you've never seen that kind of money before and it's right there, you're going to want to take it. So it's like, that's where like the phrase a fighter is only as good as a team comes in, because if you don't have somebody that will look after you in that situation, you're going to get in trouble. You're going to get yourself in big, big trouble. And so, yeah, that's what it is. Ooh, Corey Spinks versus Terrence Crawford. Listen, I like Corey Spinks. He's from Florida. Bud, competitive fight. Corey Spinks could box, but I think Bud probably break him down and stop him later rounds they fought. See, they were asking earlier about chess matches and fun. That would have been a fun chess match. Corey Spinks and Crawford. 20K signing bonus, spends 10K on a chain that's really worth only 4. Yes, that's how it goes, champ. They spend 20. They'll spend 10K on a chain to impress some broad that, you know, some girl that wasn't messing with them when they were broke a week ago. Now because they got a chain now that girl want to fuck with them now. Like that's just that's honestly like, to tell you the truth, everyone knows like the only reason anybody buys a chain is to impress the bitches, the women. My bad. I don't want to. I don't want to get too raw on a couple of you guys. The only reason anybody would buy a chain, a gaudy chain, is to impress women. Then they're stuck in a bad deal and can't get better. And it's like, I know a fighter. I'm not gonna say his name, but I know a fighter, a really close friend of mine, who he signed a crazy contract when he turned pro. It was like an 8-fight deal. It was an 8-fight deal, guys. And I think he only had like 2 fights when he signed the deal. It was an 8-fight deal, and it had all those crazy clauses where like if he got to 10-0 or 5-0, it automatically renews and this, that, and the third. So he was basically locked into like a 6-year contract, and he was like 3-0. Now, luckily for him, and this fighter, I'm not gonna say his name, but I respect him so much because it cost him a certain amount of money to buy himself out the contract. Yo, this fighter that I know, he went to work. He had a blue collar job. He worked this blue collar job, and he got out that contract with the money he made from his blue collar job. So now he's free. But yeah. What happened to Lorenzo Medina? He just fought. He just fought in Florida. He took some time off because he actually, he had a daughter recently, and then he had some injuries he was dealing with. So he took some time off, and he just had a comeback fight recently, and he won. Yo, just hopping on. I don't know if this has been discussed, but Fundura Thurman, apparently, yeah, tomorrow's entire live is gonna be about that. So we discussed it a little bit, but yeah, good. I mean, it's a good fight. I know people are upset that Thurman turned down the Virgil fight, but can you really get mad at Thurman for fighting a unified champion? A guy that has a great argument to being the potentially best fighter in the division. I mean, I'm not gonna hate on him for that. I think that's a really good fight. Which Al Haymon fight would have won? Earl Spence versus Vernon. Ooh, really, really good fight. And Vernon Forrest is a good fighter, but I actually think that's a good fight for Spence. I like that fight for Spence. I think Spence he might stop Vernon Forrest in that fight in the later rounds. Yeah, man. Spence at his best, putting the punches together. A lot of volume, body punches. We saw Mayorga. Mayorga was a gunslinger, so it was the unorthodox style that troubled Forrest. But I think Spence, with the educated jab and the pressure he puts on fighters, he keep his defense tight. He might be able to do something with Vernon Forrest. That would have been a good one. Oh man, Jermaine Taylor versus Ryota Murata would have been a shootout. Both guys come to fight. Both guys can punch. That one's all about who lands their shit first. But I would say I would lean towards Jermaine Taylor. A funny thing, I met Ryota Murata when I was in Japan last time. I met him the night of Norman Tazaki. He walked by me when I was on a live with Sean Tattel, and I went crazy. I said, "Oh my God, Ryota Murata!" Speaking of Spence, I don't like how there has been a revisionist history about his career. Errol had a fantastic run at 147. Unfortunately, he ran into a guy that was supremely better than him, which I always thought in Terrence. But no, I mean, he beat really good. He beat Porter. He beat Kell Brook. He beat really good fighters, man. Errol Spence was a real fighter. Just I didn't like how he took forever to fight Crawford, but it is what it is. Like, it's boxing, and bullshit's gonna happen at the top level. Like he beat Ugas. That's right, Howard will tell him. He beat Ugas. That's right. Nah, man. Oh man, Joe Calzaghe, Andre Ward, man. Why you asking me? I was like the number back in the day, and Howard will tell you this because he done seen the videos, and then some of you guys who have been watching me for a long time, you may have seen these videos when I was a lot younger. I was like the Andre Ward hater because I didn't like how they were trying to use him to discredit Roman Gonzalez, and I didn't like how Kovalev was treated in that first fight. So I harbor a lot of bitterness towards Andre Ward, but he was an accomplished fighter. He's still a last gold medalist from America, so that does count for something. That would have been a good fight. That would have been a hell of a fight. Ward might win that. I think Ward might have got that one. As much as I hate to say it, Ward might have got that one. But one thing about Joe Calzaghe had a great work rate. Joe Calzaghe stay in your chest the whole fight, high punch output. But I don't know. I think Ward wins that fight. As much as I don't like Ward's style and some of the ways he was, I think Ward probably wins that fight. But I root for Joe. Murata put hands on GGG. Could not put hands on GG. He could not withstand his power. Very disappointed in GG for never. Well, see, there's a lot of we talk about revisionist history. There's a lot of revisionist history with that fight, with that potential matchup, because Andre Ward he never called out Golovkin when Golovkin was free. He always called him out when he had a fight signed. So I don't think Golovkin ducked Ward, and I'm not no Golovkin fanboy. Like, to be honest with you, Golovkin, in my eyes, he's a hoe for fighting Canelo in the third fight at 168. I thought he should have never did that because I feel like he gave away the Canelo trilogy and sold his standing in the Canelo rivalry for some money. So I didn't like that, but yeah, man, I don't think he ducked Ward. I think there's revisionist history. Yeah, he said some things, or Abel Sanchez said some things in an interview, but didn't HBO force? That's high roll, man. That's definitely high roll. But HBO didn't force him to move up in weight. Well, you could say they forced him, but like they were losing money hand over fist promoting Andre Ward. So they wanted him to take a fight that they felt would be financially good for the network, which was Ward versus Kovalev, two of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world at that time, on pay-per-view. And mind you, HBO was a sinking ship. Like, Peter Nelson ran them into the ground. Yeah. But guys, look, on that note, I think I'm gonna wrap it up. It's like almost 1 a.m. Here on the East Coast, and I'm gonna leave it at that. So look, I'll be live again tomorrow. I'll thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you to Felipe for the $100 super chat. This live has been brought to you by my main man Felipe. He said, "Great to see you live, Hope Pop as well." I'm glad to see you, champ. Thanks for the support. Big help, and look, guys, I'll be live again tomorrow. Unless anything big happens in boxing tomorrow, tomorrow's live will be all about Thurman and Fundora and all that. So get your talking points, get your questions ready for that. I'm gonna get my talking points ready for that, and it'll be a fun live. But until then, stay tuned to all the content on True School Sports. We're still on the road to 100K. And I'm really excited about that and all the other endeavors we have going on outside of YouTube. But you guys take care. See you tomorrow. God bless. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys.